Base of the end of the world starting with 5 million points. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 51 Domineering Man. The man in front of her asked so many questions, but he didn't say whether he would agree to her or not, nor did he bargain. He just said the price in his mind. The girl let go of Luo Ren's arm with some disappointment, walked back to the room with her head down, squatted beside the bed, looked at her weak brother on the bed, and tears could not stop falling from her cheeks. The girl was only 16 or 17 years old, but she had such a hard life. Luo Ren couldn't help but feel sympathy in his heart, and immediately took out the remaining 4 pieces of compressed dry food. These food should be enough for the 2 siblings to make do for a while. The girl also noticed Luo Ren's actions, and her disappointed face was immediately full of expectations. As she expected, Luo Ren walked into the room, and then gently placed the compressed dry food on the only table in the room under her gaze. Seeing this, the girl immediately got up and walked to the door, put down the door curtain, her face flushed, and trembling hands unbuttoned her clothes. Because of panic, she unbuttoned several times before unbuttoning the first button, but at this time Luo Ren stopped her. She couldn't help but wonder what the man in front of her meant, whether he regretted it. Thinking of this, her face was full of disappointment again. She looked at the food on the table and swallowed a few times. The food is for you. Keep it for yourself. Don't let others see it. Live well. After saying that, Luo Ren walked out of the house without looking back. The girl quickly put away the compressed dry food on the table and looked around. Fortunately, no one saw it. She was relieved. Although many people did not dare to make trouble under the pressure of the village owner Kinte, 4 pieces of compressed dry food were enough for 3 or 4 days. This attraction must be said to be very large, so it is not ruled out that those who are brave and not afraid of death will come to rob. My brother has not returned yet, and my younger brother is weak. These compressed dry food are the hope for her and her brother to survive. After putting away the compressed dry food, the girl looked at Luo Ren's back with tears in her eyes and gratitude in her heart. Thank you, I will definitely live well. Thinking of this, she found some potash and painted her beautiful face black so as to reduce other people's attention and avoid unnecessary trouble. After the incident with the girl, Luo Ren guessed that, although there was no oppression from the powerful and the order was relatively stable in Gao village, the people here did not live well, or in other words, the strong preyed on the weak. Young, strong, and fast-moving men and women could go out to search for food. As long as they came back safely, they would have no problem surviving. However, the old, weak, and disabled were regarded as burdens. No one was willing to give them food, including the village owner Kinte. If they could not find food, they would starve to death. From this, we can know that there are extremely vicious people in Gao village, but they are relatively few, and most of they are ordinary people who want to survive, such as the gun boss and the girl just now. 7 or 8,000 people attacking together sounds scary, but after understanding, it is not the case. The purpose of these people is nothing more than to survive, and they can do it by joining the base. Not only can they do it, but their lives can also be thousands of times better than now. At least they don't have to worry about food, safety, and fear every day. Luo Ren walked while thinking, and unknowingly came to the vicinity of the factory. Looking at the factory, that only 1/5 of it was left, he thought to himself, I don't know what kind of person Kinte, the leader of Gao's He, is. With the superior conditions of the base, if these people knew about it, they would definitely scramble to go there. So there is a problem here, and we have to let these people know about the base. And the best way to solve this problem is Kinte, the leader of Gao's He. He has a lot of prestige in Gao's He, and the residents of Gao's He are more likely to believe what he says. As long as he is willing to join the base, it will be a matter of course for the people to know about the base and join the base. Similarly, if Kinte is unwilling to join the base, it will be a big obstacle. 1/5 of the dilapidated factory building was reinforced with reinforced concrete and decorated. Compared with the residences of ordinary people, it is simply a mansion. This mansion has only one entrance and is guarded by fully armed soldiers. These soldiers' weapons are not as good as Hu Qing's, let alone the guards. They are all homemade armor and homemade firearms. There are no other houses near the factory building. It is very empty. The guarding soldier saw Luo Ren at a glance, said a few words to his companions, and then walked forward. This is a military restricted area. Civilians are not allowed to approach. Leave quickly. Luo Ren frowned. The guarding soldier was so domineering. Kinte didn't think he was a good person. The man in front of he didn't react to his words at all. The soldier suddenly became a little angry. He stepped forward a few steps to Luo Ren and stretched out his hand to push him hard. Luo Ren reflexively grabbed the soldier's wrist with one hand. With a little force, the soldier grimaced in pain. The other soldiers heard the screams and looked over. Seeing their companions being captured, they quickly surrounded Luo Ren with guns. Let him go, or we will shoot. Luo Ren did not want to cause trouble, so he immediately let go of the soldier's wrist point. The soldier was able to break free, thinking that Luo Ren was afraid because of his large number of people, so he was very tough. He glared at Luo Ren, pointed his gun at him, and shouted, "I will kill you. I warn you, don't point the gun at my head." Luo Ren said coldly. The soldier became even more angry, and the muzzle of the gun got closer and closer, and he shouted, "I'm pointing it." As soon as the voice fell, Luo Ren pinched the barrel of the gun with 2 fingers, and the force penetrated his fingertips, and the muzzle of the gun was directly flattened. At the same time, he kicked him in the stomach, kicking him more than 10 meters away. He pulled the trigger subconsciously. Bang! Because the muzzle was flattened, the bullet could not be ejected, and the pressure in the gun chamber was too high, so it exploded directly, and the soldier's face turned from yellow to black. Luo Ren glanced at the other soldiers coldly. Seeing the scene just now, the other soldiers were all terrified and retreated one after another. It took a lot of strength to flatten the gun barrel with bare hands. The man in front of him was definitely an evolved human. The huge movement outside alarmed the people in the factory. Creak. The door opened, and a man came out. This man was of medium build, with long hair and a sports suit. As this man appeared, the soldiers dispersed apart, and they looked at the newcomer with a trace of fear in their eyes. The long-haired man looked Luo Ren up and down, then pointed at the black-faced soldier on the ground and asked lightly, "Did you do it?" Luo Ren looked at this man and thought, is he Kinte, the leader of Gao's He? How dare you? For some reason, the long-haired man suddenly got angry, rushed towards Luo Ren, raised his fist and hit Luo Ren in the face. "You haven't answered my question for 5 seconds. You deserve to die." This man was so domineering. He wanted to kill someone, just because he didn't answer his question for a few seconds. This made Luo Ren really angry. Facing the punch, Luo Ren easily caught it with one hand, and then rotated his palms. Pa-pa-pa-pa. More than a dozen slaps hit the long-haired man's face in a row, and the sound was crisp and pleasant. Soon the long-haired man's face swelled up. From the strength of the long-haired man's punches and the speed of his sprint, Luo Ren estimated that he should have eaten 2 evolution crystals. Of course, natural evolution is not ruled out. The long-haired man was dizzy and turned around and couldn't tell the directions. This scene made the surrounding soldiers stunned. They knew the strength of the long-haired man. He could beat 5 of them alone without any problem. He was beaten in the blink of an eye and even his mother didn't recognize him. How strong is this man in front of him? Chapter 52. The leader of Gao's He village, Kinte. I'm going to kill you. The long-haired man regained consciousness and felt the burning pain in his cheek. When he touched it with his hand, it hurt to the core. He took out a mirror and looked at it. He just glanced at himself in the mirror and the mirror was crushed by him. This was the unprecedented sense of humiliation filled him with rage, and he wanted to tear the man in front of him into pieces. Redrawing and rushing towards Luo Ren, he rotated his fists and used all his strength. In Luo Ren's eyes, the long-haired man's fist was just a little faster than a snail. He easily dodged it and then stamped his palm on the long-haired man's chest, sending him flying back and hitting the wall of the factory. Just as the long-haired man was about to collide, a figure rushed out of the factory and caught the long-haired man firmly. Although the speed of the visitor was far less than his own, he estimated that he had eaten 4 or 5 evolution crystals. Luo Ren suddenly became interested. It's a bit interesting. He took a closer look and saw that the person was about 1.8 meters tall, with handsome features and a strong build, exuding the aura of a superior person. It seems that the long-haired man is not Kintei, but this person is probably Kintei. As expected, Luo Ren guessed correctly. The visitor put down the long-haired man, looked him over, and said, "My dear Kintei, who are you? I don't remember offending you. Why did you come to my village to cause trouble?" As expected, it's Kintei. Since the other party wanted to reason, Luo Ren also reasoned with him. "I'm not here to cause trouble, but your soldiers are too overbearing. I just passed by the factory, and he drove me away fiercely, and even started to attack me. Then he counter-attacked point and the long-haired brother next to you is even more domineering. He asked a question, but after a few seconds without my reply, he wanted to kill me. If it weren't for his lack of strength, I would be dead now." After hearing this, Kintei touched his chin and thought for a moment, then pointed at the black-faced soldier, and ordered the people around him, "Take him down, and beat him with 20 army sticks." Then he looked at the long-haired man and said, "Find a room by yourself, and stay in confinement for 3 days." "Brother?" The long-haired man looked at Kintei in confusion. "Go. Quickly." Kintei's words could not be refused. Well, the long-haired man knew that talking was useless, so he glared at Luo Ren, walked into the factory, and walked into the factory. This Kintei really has double standards. Ordinary soldiers can be beaten with 20 military sticks, while his close associates can only be imprisoned. These words were just what he thought in his mind. Naturally, Luo Ren would not say them out. Instead, he thought of something else, and said with clasped fists, "It's Master Qin who knows right from wrong. If that's the case, I'll take my leave." After saying that, Luo Ren turned around and left. However, when he turned around, Kintei's cold voice sounded behind him. "Wait a minute, I have already dealt with these two, so I have to give you an explanation. So do you have to give me an explanation as well?" Luo Ren's eyes narrowed. He turned around slowly and asked, "I don't know, what kind of explanation does Master Qin want?" Kintei said indifferently, "It's very simple. Just slap yourself as many times as you slap my second brother. Remember, the force must be the same." Ha ha ha. Luo Ren was really angry and laughed. "Why are you laughing?" Kintei asked. Luo Ren's eyes gradually became cold, and the anger in his heart was burning. He stared at Kintei and said contemptuously, "It's impossible for me to slap myself. I'm here. If you have the ability, you can slap me." Snort. Kintei snorted coldly and became angry. He immediately stepped towards Luo Ren, exuding a powerful aura that scared the onlookers, but for Luo Ren, who was facing it head on, there was no discomfort at all. Kintei's eyebrows stood up, and he stepped in front of Luo Ren, raised his leg and struck his head. This blow was intended to kill Luo Ren. Luo Ren took a step back and easily dodged it. Kintei then punched out, making a sound like breaking the wind. However, this seemingly swift punch was still easily dodged by Luo Ren as he turned slightly sideways. Seeing this, Kintei grabbed him with his backhand. Luo Ren kicked the ground with his feet and retreated half a meter, but he easily dodged it. It was like an adult playing with a child. After more than a dozen rounds, Luo Ren did not make a move, but Kintei's attacks were easily dodged by him one by one, without even touching the corner of his clothes. After this, Kintei became even more angry, with bulging veins on his forehead, punching and kicking randomly. But his fists knocked out the air, and his feet kicked out the air. This made him furious, and he immediately reached for his waist, where he had a pistol. "I won't play with you anymore." The moment Kintei took out his pistol, Luo Ren's speed exploded. A figure flashed in front of Kintei's instinctive eyes. His pistol was taken away by Luo Ren, and then pointed at his own head. Hua hua. Seeing this, Kintei's soldiers immediately aimed their guns at Luo Ren. With a gun pressed against his head, Kintei did not dare to move rashly and quickly shouted, "Put down the gun." When the soldiers heard this, they had no choice but to put down their guns. The smell of death forced Kintei to put away his arrogance, put down his dignity, and said, "Brother, I was wrong. How about we write off the matter?" "Are you thinking of writing it off now?" Luo Ren said contemptuously. Kintei forced out a smile that was uglier than crying and said, "It's not just a write-off. If you have any requests, Feel free to ask for them, as long as I can satisfy them. Feel free to ask for it. If it's so good, what if I ask you to give Gauss Hay to me? Luo Ren said with a smile. Kinte clenched his fist quietly, thought for a while, and uttered 2 words. I give it. Okay, remember what you said. Luo Ren was in a good mood, and then said, tell your men to throw their guns on the ground and step back 10 steps. This. Kinte hesitated a little. The man in front of him was very fast. Once his soldiers dropped their guns, he could kill him and then escape within a few seconds when the soldiers picked up their guns. Quick! Luo Ren shouted. The muzzle of the gun hurt his head, and Kinte had no choice but to order, everyone drop your guns and step back 10 steps. Hua! La hua la. The soldiers dropped their guns one after another and stepped back 10 steps. Remember what you said. After Luo Ren finished speaking, he kicked Kinte out with 1 foot and then ran away. He was so fast that he disappeared in a few breaths. The soldiers ran up, picked up their guns, and surrounded Kinte in the middle point. Kinte stood up and looked in the direction where Luo Ren disappeared. The anger in his eyes was about to burst out, and the endless anger made him want to eat Luo Ren alive. With his fists clenched, he ordered, throw the troublesome soldiers into the cellar to feed the zombies. Also, martial law will be imposed from now on. Anyone entering or leaving the village will be strictly checked until tomorrow morning. Kinte knew that he could not take revenge, so he could only vent all his anger on the black-faced soldiers. The implementation of martial law was just a psychological comfort for himself, but he did not expect to catch Luo Ren, because if Luo Ren wanted to leave, they might not be able to stop him. After giving these instructions, Kinte threw his hands and walked into the factory angrily. After he left, the soldiers looked at each other, and they saw the fear of Kinte in each other's eyes. Why are you all standing here? Hurry up and work. Didn't you hear the village chief say martial law for 1 day? Someone suddenly said when Kinte's figure disappeared from sight. The soldiers did not dare to stay too long after hearing this, and spontaneously formed teams of 3 or 5 people to start patrolling. Chapter 53 Meeting the girl again. The setting sun is about to fall, and the sight is enchanting. It was dusk, and the clouds in the sky were very beautiful, but all the residents of Gauss Hay stayed at home. No one went out to enjoy the natural beauty. Only groups of soldiers under Kinte were patrolling the small streets. A simple house. Luo Ren clung to the wall, poked his head out, and looked around. There were no patrolling soldiers. He walked out from behind the house, and at this moment, footsteps and conversations suddenly came into his ears, and they were getting closer and closer. It seemed that they were coming this way. Although he was not afraid of these patrolling soldiers, he did not want to be discovered, which would cause unnecessary trouble and disrupt his plan. Looking at the house next to him, let's hide first. If the people inside want to call me, I will block their mouths or knock them out. Deciding in his heart, Luo Ren flashed into the simple house. The next second, after he entered the house, a 5-man patrol team came out from the corner. Although they were patrolling, they did not carefully observe whether there was any suspiciousness around them. They walked past the simple house with laughter and disappeared at another corner. Inside the simple house, the girl's eyes were filled with fear and her whole body was trembling. She wanted to scream, but someone covered her mouth. After Luo Ren entered the house, because the light inside was dim, he could not see the expressions of the people inside and did not know whether they were going to call for help, so he could only take the initiative to cover the person's mouth. From the humming sound of the person in his hand, it should be a young woman. Scanning the interior of the house, Luo Ren frowned slightly. Why did this layout have a familiar feeling? Wait. Luo Ren slowly turned his head and looked back. There was a bed, and a person was lying on the bed. It was a child. Isn't this the residence of the girl during the day? Thinking of this, Luo Ren listened carefully to the woman's voice. It was familiar, very familiar. It was the girl during the day. At the same time, a childish and weak voice sounded behind him. Let my sister go. It's the little boy who woke up. It seems that she gave the food I gave her to her brother. Saving a life is better than building a 7-story pagoda. Although this is an era where people regard human life as worthless, Luo Ren still feels very accomplished to be able to save a life because of his little food. Ahem. Luo Ren coughed lightly. Just 2 coughs. The fear in the girl's eyes quickly dissipated, and her body still couldn't stop shaking, but it was not because of fear, but because of excitement. It's the benefactor. At this time, Luo Ren spoke. I'm the one who gave you food during the day, remember? I can let you go, but you have to promise not to scream, understand? The girl nodded hurriedly. Luo Ren's hand slowly moved away, and the girl didn't scream or make a fuss, which made him feel relieved, and then he let the girl go completely with confidence. The girl learned who the visitor was, and hurriedly searched the drawer, took out a half-burned candle, and then found a lighter with only a little gas left. The candle was lit, not very bright, but enough to see everything in the house. The girl was still as she was during the day, with soot all over her face. When she smiled, her white teeth were exposed, giving Luo Ren the feeling of seeing an emoticon. Benefactor. The girl was so excited when she saw that it was really Luo Ren that she immediately knelt down and kowtowed to thank him. Luo Ren quickly helped her up and said, "No need to do that. I didn't do anything." The girl said seriously, yes. If it weren't for your food, my brother and I would have starved to death. So, this is a life-saving grace, and I must repay it." As she said that, the girl scratched her head, a little embarrassed. "But, I have nothing now. My strength is not great, and my speed is not fast, but I don't know how to repay you." After a little hesitation, the girl's face suddenly showed a resolute expression, and said, "Let's do this. I will do whatever you say, although I may not be able to complete it, but I will do my best." Luo Ren saw her resolute expression, waved his hand, and smiled. "No need, you live well is the greatest thank you to me." The girl's eyes suddenly turned red when she heard this, and tears kept rolling in her eyes. Luo Ren was very puzzled when he saw this, thinking, "I didn't say anything. Why are you crying? You must not cry out loud, otherwise you will be discovered by the patrol outside." As if she could hear Luo Ren's voice, although tears kept falling, the girl did not make any sound. Luo Ren breathed a sigh of relief and asked, "What's wrong?" The girl wiped her tears and said, "Since the outbreak of the virus, no one has cared about me except my brother. Many people have become bad people. They killed their benefactors for a little food, and betrayed their companions for their own survival. But these people have done so many evil things, but no one cares about them. Big brother, do you think that humans are going to be extinct?" The girl's younger brother, the little boy on the bed, is young, but he can tell from his sister's words that Luo Ren is not a bad person. He looked at Luo Ren sincerely and asked. Because of his weakness, his voice was very low, but his words were like a heavy object hitting Luo Ren's heart. "Yes, are humans really going to be extinct? This is such a serious question. The virus broke out, zombies were everywhere, and there were also evolved animals. This was extremely dangerous for the surviving humans. However, up to now, the city-states have stood, and those who have a little power and a little military force are thinking about how to monopolize more materials and oppress others to serve them, instead of organizing together to eliminate zombies and mutant animals and save humans from the water and fire point. In such a big environment, humans still perfectly maintain the nature of internal fighting. Will humans really become extinct? Luo Ren fell into deep thought. After a long time, he suddenly realized that oppression, brutality, and internal fighting were just what he saw at the moment. The outside world was still big, and there were many kinds of people. And what he saw was not all these. Just like Daughter Valley, they were different from other forces. Moreover, if the outside world was really all dark, then he would destroy it and annex it. If there were only bases left in the world, then the world would no longer be dark, oppression and brutality would no longer exist, and humans would naturally not become extinct. Luo Ren looked at the brother and sister and answered seriously, "Don't worry, humans will not become extinct. If no one cares about people who make mistakes, then I will." The girl and the boy both had a glimmer of hope in their eyes. In their hearts, Luo Ren's image was like a savior from heaven. They nodded heavily, without any doubt about Luo Ren's words. Luo Ren gave them hope to live, and at the same time, they believed that Luo Ren could also bring hope to everyone to live, of course, except for those who did evil. It was getting late, and Luo Ren had other things to do, so he said goodbye to the brother and sister, and prepared to leave. Hey, wait a minute. When Luo Ren was about to leave. The girl suddenly called him. Anything else? Luo Ren asked. The girl rubbed the corner of her clothes and said shyly, I don't know your name yet. Luo Ren smiled and said, my name is Luo Ren. Ren means benevolence and righteousness. The girl said, you are about the same age as my brother. Can I call you brother Luo Ren? Luo Ren nodded. Of course. The girl was very happy and said, brother Luo Ren, my name is Lin Nyanteo. My brother is Lin Nyangxin. By the way, I have a brother named Lin Nyand. He went out to find food and hasn't come back for a long time, but I don't believe he is dead. If brother Luo meets him outside, please tell him that his brothers and sisters are still waiting for him to come back. Luo Ren nodded heavily and agreed. Okay. Chapter 54. Lin Nyand. Everything that needs to be said has been said. It's getting late now. It's time for Luo Ren to leave here, to do his own things. After saying a few words of farewell to Lin Nyanteo and Lin Nyangxin, he is about to open the door and leave. But at this moment, footsteps came from the outside world. Luo Ren thought it was a patrol soldier, so he immediately lowered the door curtain and waited for the patrol soldiers to leave before leaving. However, the strange thing is that the footsteps are getting closer and closer, seeming to be heading towards the simple house where he is. Luo Ren's heart tightened, and he thought secretly, could it be that he was discovered? The sound of footsteps was already close at hand, and the visitor had arrived at the door. Luo Ren felt the breathing outside the door. There was only one person, and he couldn't help but wonder. The patrols were not all in teams of 3 or 5, so how could there be a single person? However, it was easier to deal with it alone. Luo Ren's muscles were tense. As soon as someone outside came in, he would kill them with one blow without making any noise. Nyan. Tao Nyan's in. I'm back. The person outside the door did not come in immediately, but said hello first. Luo Ren frowned and looked at the two siblings. They saw that they looked so excited that they were speechless for a moment, knowing the names of these two siblings. They shouldn't be patrolling. Who could they be? Seeing how excited they are, could it be that their brother Lin Nyand is back? But this can't be killed with one hit. Wait for people to come in and do it. Decision. Luo Ren quietly moved behind the door curtain. Why aren't you talking? Are you asleep? Then I'm coming in, said the person outside the door. Then the door curtain was opened, and Luo Ren followed to avoid it. The person outside the door was revealed in front of the two siblings. They were even more excited. The girl rushed forward and hugged the person. Looking at this, it should be Lin Nyand. Luo Ren breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed that he didn't have to do anything anymore. Shouldn't I be happy that I'm back? Why are I still crying? Lin Nyand's heart felt like a knife when he saw his sister's malnourished appearance and his brother's weakness on the bed, but he still smiled and wiped away his sister's tears and said, come on, let's go into the house and see brother brought you something delicious. Yes. Lin Nyanteo nodded obediently and led his brother into the house. Then he saw Luo Ren behind the door curtain and said immediately, by the way, brother, let me introduce someone to you. Lin Nyand was a little surprised. There were only 2 younger brothers and a sister at home, and they still needed to be introduced. He had been out for a while, but it was not yet time to introduce them again. But Lin Nyanteo pointed behind him and said, this is brother Luo Ren. Lin Nyand suddenly looked back and was immediately shocked. There was actually another person at home, and he was also a man. He frowned, looked at Luo Ren, and asked at the same time, who are you? Before Luo Ren could speak, Lin Nyanteo answered for him, this is brother Luo Ren. If it weren't for the food given by brother Luo Ren, my brother would have starved to death today. Lin Nyand could tell that his sister had a good impression of the person in front of him, and he heard from his words that this person had provided food and help for his younger brothers and sisters. After seeing this person's face, he was very pleasing to the eye, and he felt a little relieved. He stretched out his hand and said gratefully, my name is Lin Nyand, the brother of Nyan Tao Nyangxin. Thank you for helping my younger brothers and sisters. Luo Ren stretched out his hand and held it together, saying, my name is Luo Ren. Luo Ren, such a familiar name. Lin Nyand whispered, frowning and thinking hard. After a long time, his brows relaxed, and he became extremely excited. "You said you are Luo Ren?" Luo Ren couldn't help but feel strange. He spoke clearly, and at a moderate volume. Why did he need to confirm it again? He nodded and said affirmatively, "I'm Luo Ren." Lin Nand confirmed again, "Are you Commander Luo Ren of the base?" Luo Ren thought to himself, "Is my fame already so great that it has spread to Gaohe?" Then he nodded and said with more certainty, "Yes, I'm Luo Ren from the base." Hoo hoo hoo. Lin Nand's breathing was rapid and his snorting became heavier. Because he was so excited, his whole body was shaking. He clenched his fists and his eyes were completely occupied by reverence and excitement. This was the first time that Lin Nanteo saw his brother like this. It was like the reaction of those ignorant girls when they had close contact with meat idols before the end of the world. She thought to herself, "Who is brother Luo Ren? How can he be so excited?" Seeing Lin Nand like this, Luo Ren was a little scared. He had seen the news, including incidents where celebrities were knocked down by crazy fans and kissed violently. This made him involuntarily take a few steps back, fearing that Lin Nand would suddenly pounce on him and hit him hard. After sucking on himself a few times, he couldn't imagine the scene. Seeing that Luo Ren was serious about taking a few steps back, Lin Nand also noticed that he had lost his composure and quickly suppressed his excitement and explained, "Sir Luo Ren, I'm so excited to see you. I'm sorry." After he calmed down, Luo Ren asked, "Have you been to the base?" The only people who can call him commander are the soldiers and civilians of the base, and no one else. Now that Lin Nand calls him this, the first thing Luo Ren thinks of is that he has been to the base. Only in this way can he respect himself so much and see him. "That's why I'm so excited." Unexpectedly, Lin Nand shook his head and denied, "I have never been to the base." This made Luo Ren feel even more strange. Since he had never been to the base, how could he call himself sir like this? Lin Nandi could see that Luo Ren was confused, so he explained before he asked, "Although I haven't been to the base, I have seen the guards. If it weren't for the guards, I might not be able to come back this time." After a pause, Lin Nandi took a deep breath and recalled, "That day, I went out with 5 other people to look for food and found a convenience store that had not been looted. We dealt with the zombies around the convenience store and successfully rushed into the convenience store. There was a lot of food inside, which could fill the backpacks of the 5 of us, and there was still some left." As he said, he took off his backpack, but it was not as he said. The backpack was flat. After opening it, the food inside was pitifully small. He continued, "After we got the food, we were about to leave the convenience store, but at this time, many zombies suddenly rushed in from the street. The 6 of us alone could never break through, so we could only hide in the convenience store. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, and 6 days passed. Fortunately, there was enough food in the convenience store, so we didn't starve to death, but we were. After being trapped for so many days, the zombies outside showed no sign of retreating. We were desperate. To be honest, we had already written our suicide note, but it was on the 7th day." Speaking of this, Lin Nandi suddenly became excited. Dense gunshots rang out, and all the zombies outside were killed. We saw an army that was unlike any army we had encountered before. This army had extremely high quality. Not only did they not arrest us, but they also did not rob us of our food and weapons. They just sincerely invited us to a place called the base. They said that there was no oppression or brutal rule in that place. As long as you were willing to work hard, you could get enough food and clothing. They also showed us a video. In the video, every resident of the base was full of vitality and enthusiasm for life, just like the Garden of Eden in the dream. And they also told me the story of the founder of the base, that is, you. Lin Nandi looked at Luo Ren, his eyes full of admiration. "After listening to your deeds, we yearn for the life of the base, and want to become a part of the base. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels." Chapter 55 Plan to spread rumors. "Why did you go to the base with the guards instead of returning to Gaohe?" Luo Ren asked. Reed Lin Andy shook his head and said, "It's not us who are back, but only me, because Nyan Tao and Nyan Xin are still here. I can't abandon them. I have to take them to the base. They are my only relatives in this world." Lin Nyan Tao and Lin Nyan Xin were moved, with happiness in their eyes, that they hadn't seen for a long time, and they called out at the same time, "Brother, in this world, the best way to make people feel happy is to have someone care about you." Lin Andy also moved his eyes from Luo Ren to his younger brother and sister, with endless tenderness and love in his eyes. Luo Ren was also touched by his loyalty and patted him on the shoulder and said, "The base welcomes you at any time." "Thank you, Commander Luo Ren." Lin Andy thanked him and continued, "I also heard from Captain Luo Shan of the guard that they were looking for you. I didn't expect you to be here. I wonder what Commander Luo Ren is doing in Gaohe?" Luo Ren said, "I was out of the city to chase the enemy. On the way, I accidentally found Gaohe. I was curious and came in to investigate. I found that the people in it were not living well, so I thought about letting the 7 or 8,000 people in Gaohe join the base." Lin Andy in front of him made Luo Ren's heart move, and then said, "It's a pity. I went to discuss with Kinte, the leader of Gaohe. Before I said a few words, he and his people wanted to kill me. In this case, it is impossible to have a good discussion, so the only way to go is to attack. However, I heard that Kinte, the leader of Gaohe, is a good person. He never oppresses the residents in the village and maintains the order of the village. Therefore, whenever there is an enemy attack, the residents of Gaohe will rise up in resistance. In this case, if I lead a large army to attack, I will definitely hurt the residents of Gaohe, which makes it difficult for me to make a decision." After listening to Luo Ren's story, Lin Andy thought for a while and said, "Commander Luo Ren, you don't know that Kinte's maintenance of order in the village is not free. Every month, each person must hand in 10 kilograms of food or medical supplies. If you don't pay, he won't drive you out, but if the person encounters any crime in the village, they won't care. Therefore, the residents of Gaohe are not satisfied with Kinte, but they have no choice. Everyone needs to survive. Gaohe is a better choice than some places that oppress people to death. Of course, if the people in the village know the existence of the base, I believe they will choose the base without hesitation. Yes, but how can we let the residents of Gaohe know the existence of the base?" Luo Ren pretended to be distressed and fell into deep thought. The room fell silent. Lin Andy's expression changed several times. Finally, he seemed to have made an important decision. He looked at Luo Ren with a firm look and said, "Commander Luo Ren, I have a way to let the people in Gaohe know the existence of the base." "Oh, what is the way?" Luo Ren looked expectant. Lin Andy said, "We need someone to spread the information about the base in Gaohe. I have been in Gaohe for such a long time and have met many people. I can tell all the information about the base to those I know, and those people can spread it. It won't be long before the whole Gaohe will know the existence of the base." Of course, Commander Luo Ren, you can also send someone to spread the information, but between acquaintances and strangers, the words of acquaintances are always more believable. So, if you believe me, I'm sure that you can defeat the enemy without fighting. When you bring troops here next time. I just need to ask you for one thing. Take my sister and brother back to the base first." Luo Ren was delighted. This was exactly what he wanted. He originally planned to find Gun Lao Da and others, promise them benefits, and let them spread rumors about the base. But after seeing Lin Andy's love for his younger brothers and sisters and his yearning for the base, he changed his mind and said the words that exposed his plan just now, but with a sense of inducement. If Lin Andy just glossed over it and didn't volunteer, then he would at most take him back to the base, and he wouldn't be afraid of his plan being exposed. But the fact is that Lin Andy volunteered, which is really great. Lin Andy is loyal and righteous, and he entrusted his brother and sister to him to take back to the base, so he doesn't worry about him turning against him. And as he said, between acquaintances and strangers, the words of acquaintances are always more trustworthy than those of strangers, so he is the best candidate. Luo Ren said solemnly, "I believe you, then the matter of Gaohe will be handed over to you. Don't worry, I will bring Nyan Tao and Nyan Xin back to the base safely. No one will bully them there, and they won't go hungry. Thank you, Sir Lin." Nyandi cares most about his younger brothers and sisters. He was relieved to get Luo Ren's promise. He chose to stay and promote the base for Luo Ren, just to make his younger brothers and sisters live better. He heard Luo Shan say that, as long as he has the ability, he can become a manager of the base, and now is the opportunity to show his ability. As long as this mission is successfully completed, regardless of ability, he has reason to believe that Luo Ren will make him a manager of the base point. Although ordinary residents of the base can also eat enough, managers should always have better living places and food than ordinary residents, so that their younger brothers and sisters can live better. Of course, not everything can be said to be 100% successful. If this mission fails, he has also thought about it. The most serious consequence is just death. However, this can allow Luo Ren to take care of his younger brothers and sisters, and make their lives better, even though he died for the base. This also achieves the goal point. Luo Ren patted Lin Nandi's shoulder with satisfaction and said, "There is martial law tonight, so it's not easy to leave the village, and your brother Nanzin is still very weak. Let's take a day off, and set off tomorrow." The next morning point after breakfast, Lin Nandi went out for a walk, and then returned. As soon as he entered the house and saw Luo Ren, he said, "The martial law has been lifted, and you can leave the village." Luo Ren nodded, looked at Lin Nantao and Lin Nanzin, and said, "Pack up everything, and we'll set off immediately." Lin Nantao bowed her head, and sorted out her things. She glanced at her brother from time to time, her eyes full of reluctance. After sorting out, there were actually not many things, and she couldn't bring much. After all, the luggage was too obvious and very easy to be noticed. But even so, half an hour had passed, and Lin Nantao hadn't sorted it out yet. Luo Ren couldn't help but frown slightly and said, "Why haven't you finished yet?" Lin Nantao heard this, just lowered her head and kept silent, busy with her hands, but didn't know what she was busy with. Lin Nandi also looked over and noticed Lin Nantao's abnormality, so he asked, "Nantao, do you have something you don't know where to put it?" Lin Nantao's body trembled slightly when she heard this, bit her lips, then looked up at Lin Nandi, and all the words in her heart were expressed in her eyes. Lin Nandi, his sister who had been with him for more than 10 years, could see it, and immediately touched his sister's head and said, "Don't worry, I'm not going to fight Kinte. I just want to tell everyone the facts. It's okay, you go to the base with Commander Luo Ren first, and we will reunite it at the base in a few days." Tears rolled in her eyes. Although Lin Nantao was reluctant, she still nodded obediently. She knew that in the current situation, she and her brother staying here would only be a burden to her brother. Chapter 56 Encountering the guards on the road. Luo Ren changed his clothes, and his combat uniform was too conspicuous. If he was alone, it would be fine. Kinte's team of only 100 people wanted to leave on their own, and they couldn't stop him at all. But now it was different. He brought 2 people with him, so they had to be careful. The few of them successfully arrived at the gate of Gao's. 2 soldiers under Kinte were stationed there. Lin Nandi took out 2 cigarettes and went up to greet them with a smile. "Come on, brother, have a smoke." The 2 soldiers puffed out smoke, feeling relaxed. One of them said, "Old Lin, I thought you were dead after being away for so many days, but I didn't expect you to be so lucky." Another joked, "Yes, Old Lin, you are back after all. If you don't come back, your sister will be watched by many people. Once this month is over, she will have no food to hand in, which will be very dangerous." Lin Nandi laughed. "Yes, in this fucking era, it's really more comfortable to die than to live." Pinching out the cigarette, Lin Nandi said, "I won't talk to you anymore. My stomach can't stand it anymore." As he said that, he covered his stomach, looking anxious. The 2 soldiers laughed. "Go quickly, go quickly." Only then did Lin Nandi lead Lin Nantao and Lin Nanzin out of Gao village and headed towards the grass and woods on the side. The 2 soldiers stared at Lin Nantao's back, swallowing their saliva secretly. One of them whispered, "What a beauty." The other nodded in agreement. While the 2 were staring at Lin Nantao, Luo Ren quickly crossed the gate. The 4 of them stopped in a secluded woodland. It was sparsely populated, and even those who had to leave the village to solve their 3 urgent needs would not come here. Facing his sister, Lin Nandi said earnestly, listen to the commander's words along the way. Take good care of Nanzin, live well at the base, don't worry, we will be reunited at the base in a few days. Lin Nantao looked at Lin Nandi reluctantly, and then nodded obediently. Lin Nandi said to Luo Ren again, sir, I hope you can take care of Nantao and Nanzin, don't worry, I will treat them like my own sisters and brothers. As he said that, Luo Ren took out a high explosive grenade and handed it to Lin Nandi, saying, when you encounter danger, think about protecting yourself first. Yes. Lin Nandi nodded heavily and said, thank you, sir. Luo Ren patted Lin Nandi's shoulder and then took Lin Nantao and Lin Nanzin on the route back to the base. Under Lin Nandi's gaze, the younger brother and sister kept looking back, their eyes full of reluctance, and Lin Nandi also waved vigorously until they disappeared at the end of the horizon point after Luo Ren and the others left. Lin Nandi did not return to Gaohe immediately, but wandered for several hours, then rolled on the ground for several times, shaping his appearance to be very embarrassed, and then burst out all his acting skills. With sadness on his face, so he walked back to Gaohe point at the gate. Two soldiers saw Lin Nandi's appearance, and he was the only one who came back. They couldn't help but feel strange. One of them hurriedly asked, Old Lin, what are you doing? Ah. Lin Nandi sighed, shook his head, ignored the man, and walked into Gao village with sadness. Looking at Lin Nandi's back, another soldier said, looking at his appearance, I'm afraid he encountered zombies. Old Lin's brother and sister didn't come back with him. I'm afraid, unknowingly, it was noon. This area was relatively flat, and the weather was very good today, so the view was very wide. Point on the road. Luo Ren was walking with Lin Nantao and his brother, and suddenly saw that there were several cars parked not far ahead. The three of them quickened their pace and walked forward. Luo Ren asked Lin Nantao and his brother to wait, and went to check alone. When they came to the side of a car, they looked through the window and saw a skinny zombie in the driver's seat, being fixed by a seatbelt. The zombie smelled the smell of flesh and blood and weakly raised his hands to grab Luo Ren and swallow his flesh and blood. Luo Ren would not give it this chance. He saw the zombies being killed with a knife. The dark sticky blood splashed on the seats and steering wheel, emitting a foul smell. Luo Ren decisively gave up the car. Then he came to a car with an open door. Although there were bloodstains inside, they had dried up, and those bloodstains were obviously normal human bloodstains. This car was acceptable. Luo Ren got in the car and pressed the start button, but the car did not respond. He looked at the dashboard and saw that there was no gas. Gasoline is volatile. This car has been here for so long, and the gasoline in the tank must have evaporated long ago. Luo Ren's eyes fell on the car he had not checked yet, but he retracted his eyes in just a few seconds and shook his head slightly. According to experience, these cars have been placed for several months, and the gasoline in the tank must have evaporated. After passing the car, Luo Ren and Lin Nantao continued on the road. Without a car, they could only use their two legs. Not long after walking, they suddenly heard gunshots. Luo Ren looked to the right following the sound. There were many houses and buildings about a kilometer away, and zombies were vaguely seen wandering. It was a village. The gunshots came from that village. Judging from the gunshots, there were quite a few people on the other side. Luo Ren immediately took Lin Nantao into hiding and observed the situation in the village. Not long after, an army came into view. Familiar combat uniforms, familiar guns, and familiar faces. Luo Ren was overjoyed. It turned out to be the guards. He immediately rushed out of hiding, waved his arms vigorously at the guards, and shouted, Luog, I'm here. As for the guards, Luog heard Luo Ren's voice and looked over subconsciously. When he saw that it was really Luo Ren, he was overjoyed and said, it's the commander. He immediately ordered, follow me and greet the commander. Luog led 100 guards to Luo Ren, and Luo Ren ran towards the guards with Lin Nantao and her brother. Commander, we have been looking for you for several days, and finally found you. Luog was excited. Have you been looking for me these days? Luo Ren asked. Yes, Commander, since you chased Hu Fei for a whole day and didn't return to the base, Luo Shan, Luo Hei, Luo Li, and Suan Tong took turns to lead the team out to look for you every day. Today, we finally found you. Where did you go? We were all worried to death. Luog said. Su and Tang also came out. Is he with the guards? Luo Ren asked hurriedly after hearing this. Although Su and Tang is already a member of the guard, she cannot lead the guard. She leads the female soldiers from the Daughter Valley, and the guns they use are also the guns they made themselves. Luog said. That's it. Luo Ren felt warm in his heart. Su and Tang actually brought a group of female soldiers to find him. This touched him very much. He looked in the direction of the base and said, let's go. Let's return to the base as soon as possible so that they don't have to worry so much. Chapter 57. Enemy at the gate. Because of the shortage of gasoline and other fuels, the escorts basically walked when they went out. Even if they used vehicles, they were only vehicles for hauling ammunition and food point. Although the main purpose is not to pull people, there are still places to sit, but no one in the escort is willing to do anything special. Except for the people driving. Even if there is a place to sit, others will definitely not sit unless they are injured. However, Luo Ren is different. As the commander of the base, he doesn't need to care about this, because even if he does something more extreme, the guard's loyalty to him will be 100% and will never be reduced. Besides, it's just a car ride, so sesame seeds. Small things are nothing. Luo Ren took Lin Nyanteo and Lin Nyanx into the front of the small truck hauling supplies. Lin Nyanteo and his brother sat in the back seat respectively, while he himself took the passenger seat. Lin Nyanxin was only 7 or 8 years old. The physical strength of a child was not as good as that of an adult. In addition, due to malnutrition, his body was very weak. After walking such a long distance, even though Luo Ren was carrying him on his back, his physical strength was still exhausted. I fell asleep as soon as I sat in the car. Although Lin Nyanteo was not exhausted, as the car started to move, the bumps and shakes along the way made her eyelids heavier and heavier. In the end, she couldn't hold on and closed her eyes, snoring slightly. Luo Ren saw the two siblings fell asleep, smiled slightly, turned around and looked ahead. The speed of the car was neither fast nor slow, and it had to match the walking speed of the escort. In this way, the time came to the afternoon, and finally, the base city came into view. When the team arrived at the city gate, Luog took a step forward and shouted, "Open the city gate quickly, the chief is back." "Sir, are you back?" The soldiers guarding the city were all pleasantly surprised. They scanned the troops led by Luog carefully, but did not find Luo Ren. They couldn't help but wonder, thinking in their hearts, "Didn't you see, sir?" At this moment, the windows of the supply truck in the middle of the team were lowered, and Luo Ren poked his head out, smiling and waving to the soldiers defending the city. The doubts in the hearts of the soldiers guarding the city dissipated instantly, and they were even more surprised. They quickly opened the city gate and welcomed the chief officer back to the city. The news of Luo Ren's return to the city quickly spread throughout the base city, and the residents among them all breathed a sigh of relief after hearing this. In their hearts, Luo Ren is like a god, providing them with spiritual support. They believe that Luo Ren is a savior sent by God who can save mankind from danger. Therefore, there has been no news for several days, and their hearts are filled with confusion. They were very anxious. Now that Luo Ren has returned to the city safe and sound, the stone hanging in their hearts has finally fallen to the ground. Luo Shan, Luo Hei and Luog Luo Li are the top officers of the escort army except Luo Ren. They have hunted the largest number of zombies and have reached the level of second level squadron leader. Each of them can command up to 500 troops. Moreover, they are the oldest and have followed Luo Ren for the longest time, so they have the deepest relationship with Luo Ren. Luog did not say anything, but the other three were all ecstatic when they heard that Luo Ren had returned to the city and came after hearing the news. There was another person who immediately relaxed when she heard that Luo Ren had returned to the city, and her eyes were slightly moist, but she did not take the initiative to come to Luo Ren. Mobile base. Luo Shan, Luo Hei and Luog Luo Li stood side by side with unconcealable joy in their eyes. Next to them stood Saudi Arabia. He was one of the first people to join the base. Luo Ren even promoted him to be the resident supervisor of the base. This made him very grateful to Luo Ren. Therefore, Luo Ren returned to the city safely, and in his heart no less happy than anyone else. Okay, Saudi stays, and everyone else goes to work. Being stared at by 5 grown men, the atmosphere was indeed a bit awkward, so he quickly sent them away. Luo Shan, Luo Hei and Luo Jialuoli saw Luo Ren, and were not injured. After hearing this, they left the mobile base. After they left, only Luo Ren, Shashap, Lin Nai and Teo, and Lin Luo were left in the mobile base. Thinking of my brothers and sisters, Luo Ren said, Saudi, this is the brother and sister Lin Nai Teo and Lin Nai Angxin. You find a good place for them to live in the inner city. Remember that the environment must be good. In terms of space, 3 bedrooms and 1 living room are about the same. Also, in terms of food, you are responsible for it. Take Luan Tao and Nans into the cafeteria. Remember, explain to Li Jiu that it is the privilege I give them, and let her eat as much as she wants. Sir, I remember. Saudi Arabia was a little surprised when he heard that the 2 siblings in front of him went directly to the cafeteria to eat. You must know that the cafeteria mainly supplies the guards. Ordinary residents receive raw materials and cook their own meals. However, managers like him can go to the cafeteria to eat. But that's because I'm too busy at work and have no time to cook, so I go to the canteen to eat, and I have to show proof. This regulation is because it is impossible to spend a lot of manpower and material resources on cooking, so no one is dissatisfied with this management regulation. Now, Luo Ren, who had always strictly enforced the base's regulations, was trying to make ends meet for the 2 siblings. This forced Saudi Arabia to face up to Lin Nai Teo and Lin Nai Angxin. Their status must be extraordinary, and he had to take good care of them. Luo Ren looked at the siblings and said, you settle down at the base first, and in a few days I will send troops to the camp, and then you can reunite with your brother at the base. His name is Saudi. If you encounter any difficulties, you can come here to see me directly. If I'm not here, you can also come to him. He is the resident supervisor, and he will solve any resident problem for you. Sister Lin Nai Teo said gratefully, thank you, brother Luo Ren. Luo Ren smiled slightly and said, go ahead. The siblings walked up to Saudi Arabia, and Lin Nai Teo said politely, hello, my name is Lin Nai Teo, and this is my brother Lin Nai Angxin. Saudi Arabia also said very kindly, my name is Saudi Arabia. As the sir said, if you have any difficulties in the future, just come to me. Don't be polite to me. If it is something that I cannot solve, I will report it to the sir as soon as possible. Lin Nai Teo said, thank you, Director Saudi. Saudi smiled slightly and said, for those who are not in charge, just call me Saudi. After a conversation, Lin Nai Teo's sister and brother became familiar with Saudi Arabia, and Saudi Arabia took them to the residential area to choose a place to live. Luo Ren looked at the leaving figures of his siblings and couldn't help but smile. Suddenly, he turned his eyes and saw a familiar face, and the smile on his face became even bigger. Su Antang was leaning against the wall, not far from the mobile base. She saw Luo Ren coming out and saw that he was safe and sound, and his expression remained the same. She was completely relieved and then turned to leave, but at this time, Luo Ren discovered her and moved toward her. She walked over, and when she got closer, Luo Ren smiled and said, Antong, why are you here and not entering the mobile base? Su Antong said, I was just wandering around and ended up here by accident. Why should I go to the mobile base? Luo Ren smiled and said, okay, then I'll go shopping with you. Chapter 58, Enemy at the Gate, Part 2. Su Antang rubbed the corners of her clothes with her hands, her eyes wandering, and she said at the same time, no, you must be very tired after being out for so many days, so you should have a good rest. Luo Ren joked, you don't know how good my body is, how could I be tired? Come on, I'll go shopping with you. When Su Antang heard this, her face turned red, and she said anxiously, how do I know whether you are in good health or not? You bastard. As she spoke, she turned her back and took steps. Luo Ren looked confused. What he really meant was to express that he was in good health and not tired. Why was he so impatient? He hurriedly followed and explained, I didn't mean that. I was simply expressing that I wasn't tired. It didn't mean what you thought. Su Antang suddenly stopped, turned around and asked, what do you mean? Do you know what I mean? Luo Ren suddenly choked up. As expected, he couldn't explain clearly to women, so he chose to change the topic. What do you mean? Sigh. I wonder how the aquaculture base is being built. Why don't we go take a look? Suan Tong rolled her eyes at him. This change of topic was too abrupt, but she didn't intend to go into details. She continued to walk and said at the same time, okay. Luo Ren was immediately delighted and quickly followed. The two of them walked to the outer city and came to the aquaculture site. If you want to say that there is strength in numbers, the workers building the aquaculture base perfectly interpreted this sentence. They saw that a few days ago it was a lawn full of weeds. At this moment, a large pit 1 meter deep and 500 meters long and wide has been dug into the flat ground. 9 small areas are divided into 9 small areas in this large pit. The person directing the construction here saw the sir coming in person, and his face was immediately filled with smiles, with reverence in his eyes. He jogged all the way to Luo Ren and greeted, "Sir." Luo Ren looked at the person in front of him and saw that he had never seen him before. He should be someone KOMU or Saudi Arabia found. The man concentrated his attention and saw the flash of doubt in Luo Ren's eyes. He immediately introduced himself, "Sir, my name is Lin Senator. Director KOMU asked me to take charge of the aquaculture land construction project." Luo Ren understood and nodded immediately, saying, "Keep up the good work, as long as you do a good job, you will be rewarded." When he said these words, he thought Lin Sen would be very happy, but instead he saw a calm face and said, "I'm from Mazang village, sir, who was rescued from Wanghu. I clearly remember that, sir. That day my words are to right this world, where order has collapsed." This sentence is deeply embedded in my heart. Therefore, after joining the base, all I didn't think about was to do my part, to build the base well, so that everyone can live a better life. It doesn't matter to me whether there are awards or not of. After hearing this, Luo Ren looked at the person in front of him again. Seeing that his eyes were sincere and his words seemed to come from the heart, he couldn't help but secretly praise. He has such a thought. He is a very good talent. If only with more talents like this, the development speed of the base will inevitably be greatly improved. Luo Ren patted Lin Sen's shoulder and encouraged, "Okay, then let's build our base together." Luo Ren deliberately emphasized the word we, which made Lin Sen excited and said, "I will definitely work hard, sir. Then I will continue working." Luo Ren said, "Go." Suan Tong looked at Lin Sen's back and could see that he was very excited. She couldn't help but murmured, "Is this our base?" Snap. Luo Ren put his big hand on Suan Tong's shoulder and smiled. "It's our base." Then he walked towards the West District to see how the housing construction was going there. Suan Tong looked at Luo Ren's back and was stunned for a while before she realized what she was doing and quickly followed him. The two came to the West District. Under the leadership of KOMU, housing construction in the West District was in full swing. Everyone was full of energy. However, because the time was short, and it was not like an aquaculture land, they just had to dig deeper. In addition to construction, we still have to look for construction materials, so after a few days, we are still in the state of laying the foundation. Although they still had to live in tents for so many days, the tens of thousands of new people who joined did not complain, including those who came from the Naughty Valley, because they had seen too much in these days and the enthusiasm for life of the base residents. It impressed them and made them devote themselves wholeheartedly to the construction because they were building their own homes. Luo Ren couldn't help but feel pleased when he saw the energetic people. When they saw Luo Ren, those people also said hello, sir. The residents from the Naughty Valley were full of gratitude to Suan Tong and even called her Valley Master. If it hadn't been for Suan Tong, how would they have ended up in such a doomsday paradise? Several of them were even more ashamed. They felt that they were extremely stupid for opposing the move to the base. At the same time, KOMU, who was directing the construction, discovered Luo Ren and walked over immediately. He was about to speak when suddenly, Reporter Luo Ren heard the sound and left, only to see Luo He running towards him. When he got close, he said, "Sir, there is an army of 100 people outside the city. The leader calls himself Chen Hui, saying that they are under the influence of Hu Shan, the lord of Hu City. I want to see you." Oh. Luo Ren was surprised. A few days after Hu Fei's death, people from Huqing came again. He wanted to see what their purpose was and said, let's go and meet them. Luo Ren came to the city gate, followed closely by Luo He and Suandang. Climbing up the city wall and looking down, it was indeed an army of 100 people. They were fully equipped with weapons and equipment. There was also a strange looking vehicle behind the team. This vehicle was modified from an off-road vehicle. A large pot was installed on the top of the vehicle, and many antennas were welded on the pot. Luo He pointed to one of the 100-man army and said, the man with small eyes is Chen Hui. Luo Ren looked in the direction he pointed and saw a man who was 1.75 meters tall, with small eyes, a high nose bridge, and 2 small mustaches. Luo He shouted, Chen Hui, the commander is here, just say whatever you want to say. When Chen Hui heard Luo Ren coming, he couldn't help but look at the person next to Luo He, thinking, well, he looks exactly like in the photo. Luo Ren is fine. Clearing his throat, he said loudly, I'm Chen Hui from Huqing, and I'm here to talk to Commander Luo Ren on the orders of the city lord. Luo Ren said, let's talk. What do we have to talk about? Chen Hui said, a few days ago, my young city lord of Huqing, Hu Fei, came here. But after a few days, he didn't come back, and there was no news. I don't know what happened, and as for why the young city lord came here and what happened, I think Commander Luo Ren knows best. However, I can also guess that, since the base is fine and the young city lord has no news, he must be dead, or captured by Commander Luo Ren. I think it is more reasonable for the young city lord to be captured than dead. The reason why Chen Hui guessed this is because he knew what Hu Fei was here for, and he was sure that Hu Fei was captured, not dead, because Chen Hui was confident that Hu Cheng's strength could calm Luo Ren and prevent him from killing him. Unfortunately, Chen Hui was wrong. After hearing this, Luo Ren couldn't help but raise a curve at the corner of his mouth. Chapter 59, Enemy at the Gate, Part 3. Chen Hui had been paying attention to the changes in Luo Ren's expression. When he saw his half smile, his heart skipped a beat, and suddenly an ominous premonition came to his mind. At the same time, Luo Ren said, I would like to capture Hu Fei alive, but unfortunately, God does not give me this opportunity. This sentence hit Chen Hui's heart like a hammer, making the smile on his face disappear, and he could not believe it. After a while, he thought to himself, I thought too much. Luo Ren did not say that the young city lord was dead. He must have deliberately deceived me. I almost fell for it. Thinking of this, Chen Hui threatened, this is not a joke. If the young city lord is in the hands of Chief Luo Ren, I advise Chief Luo Ren to return him to us immediately. Otherwise the consequences will be disastrous. If the city lord is furious. Faced with these threatening words, Luo Ren didn't care at all and said calmly, I'm not kidding. Could it be that the young city lord has really? Hearing this, Chen Hui was struck by lightning and stood still. However, he changed his mind and said, no, he must have deliberately lied to me, wanting to see me lose my composure when I learned about the young city lord, so as to laugh at me. Chen Hui then said, maybe what I said is not powerful enough. I'd better let Chief Luo Ren talk to our city lord directly. After that, he walked through the team, came to the side of the strange car, and fiddled with the big pot. Luo Ren felt novel. At the moment, everyone was fighting for their lives, but there was no time to manage and maintain those electronic facilities. Without a phone, how could he talk to Hu Shan, the city lord of Huqing? His eyes fell on the strange car, thinking, is this car a mobile signal tower? After a while, Chen Hui finished it. He drove the car to the city gate, then leaned out of the car window and shouted to Luo Ren, open the city gate. The guards guarding the city all looked at Luo Ren. The enemy was at the gate, and opening the city gate was not a clear move, even though the enemy had only 100 people. Luo Ren thought for a while. The terrain outside the city was flat and there was no place to hide a large number of troops, so he said, open the city gate and let him in. There were only 100 people. Even if they wanted to rush into the base at the same time, when the city gate was opened, it would be useless. The guards were guarding here. If they made a move, the light machine guns on the city wall would not be a joke. The city gate was opened, and Chen Hui drove the strange modified car into the base. As soon as he came in, the city gate was immediately closed, and then a group of guards surrounded him. Chen Hui raised his hands and got out of the car to show that he was not carrying any weapons. At this time, Luo Ren also walked down from the city wall and asked, "What do you mean by this, Chen?" Hui put down one hand, then took out an object that looked like a landline microphone from the car and said, "You can talk directly with our city lord through this. It's really a mobile phone." Luo Ren was curious and was about to take the phone, but was stopped by Luo. "Hey, sir, be careful of danger." Seeing this, Chen Hui said, "You have dozens of guns pointed at me, and I don't want to die." "It's okay." He doesn't dare to make any small moves. Luo Ren walked up to Chen Hui regardless of Luo Hei's obstruction, stared at him, then took the phone, looked left and right, and saw a button on the back of the phone. Luo Ren looked at Chen Hui again, and when he saw him nod, he pressed the button. Point ding ding ding. After a few electronic sounds, the voice of a middle-aged man came from the phone. "Hello, Luo." Ren cleared his throat and said, "I'm Luo Ren." "Luo Ren." The person on the other end of the phone whispered softly, as if recalling something. After a while, he said loudly, "I remember that my son went to attack you and then disappeared. It seems that you and Chen Hui didn't reach an agreement. Tell me, what are your conditions?" Luo Ren said, "My conditions are very simple. A population of 100,000, a million rounds of ammunition, and a million kilograms of food. How about it? Do you agree?" The other end of the phone fell into silence. Luo Ren's conditions were obviously made up. How could Hu Xian agree to them? About a minute later, Hu Xian's voice came again. "Young man, don't push your luck. I can agree to your request, as long as you let my son go, and we will have nothing to do with each other from now on. At the same time, I can also guarantee that Hu Fei will not come to harass your territory again." Luo Ren chuckled and said, "Since you don't agree, it's a pity, so I can only kill him." This time, Luo Ren didn't wait. As soon as he finished speaking, Hu Xian on the other end of the phone said, "If you don't drink the toast, you will drink the penalty. Are you going to fight to the death with me, Hu Cheng?" Whether it was the tone or the meaning of the words, there was a strong sense of threat, but Luo Ren was not afraid, and the more he threatened, the tougher he became. Besides, Hu Fei had been eaten by the evolved rats, and there was no bone left. Base and Hu Cheng had long lost the opportunity to coexist peacefully. "I won't drink the toast, and I'll leave the penalty to you. What's the matter with fighting to the death? If you, Hu Cheng, have the ability, come, I'll wait for you here. Moreover, I tell you, your precious son is dead, and there is nothing left." After that, Luo Ren hung up the phone directly and didn't listen to Hu Xian's angry words. Chen Hui was listening on the side. He did not expect Luo Ren to be so bold. This was already a declaration of war to the city lord Hu Xiangsha. He knew very well that with the city lord Hu Xian's temper, it would not be long before he would personally lead the army to attack the base. There would be no possibility of any negotiation at that time. Either the city would be destroyed, or people would die. At this point, he looked at Luo Ren, but saw that Luo Ren was also looking at him. He swept his eyes around the guards holding guns, and the black muzzles of the guns were pointed at him. Fear surged in his heart instantly. "Commander, Luo Ren, the two armies do not kill the messengers when fighting." His tone changed from indifference at first to leading. Luo Ren just looked at him like this, and the guards also looked at him like this. Under such a gaze, the great fear made his mental defense line completely collapse. He knelt down with a plop, kowtowed and begged for mercy. "Commander Luo Ren, I'm just a messenger. Please let me go." Luo Ren's eyes flashed with contempt, and then smiled. "Don't worry, I won't kill you. You still have to go back to lead the way for your city lord." Chen Hui heard the words, and the happiness of escaping death came to him spontaneously. He thanked him repeatedly, and then quickly climbed into the car, and was about to leave, but Luo Ren stopped him and said, "The people go, and the car stays. As long as he can survive, losing a car is nothing." Chen Hui got out of the car immediately. Luo Ren opened the city gate to let him out. After Chen Hui left the city, he did not dare to stay, and immediately retreated with 100 soldiers. He was not sure whether Luo Ren would regret it, so he ran all the way and did not dare to slow down. Point on the city wall. Suan Tong asked, "Just let them go, Luo." Ren said, "How can you catch big fish if you are reluctant to give up small fish?" Suan Tong's heart moved and said, "Do you really want to destroy Hacheng?" Luo Ren nodded and said, "Yes. Hu Fei tried to kill me again and again, and although I killed him, I still couldn't get rid of the hatred in my heart, so I had to destroy Hacheng." Suan Tong complained, "Really vengeful." Luo Ren smiled slightly without too much explanation. Although he was talking nonsense, his main purpose was very clear, that is, for the population of Hacheng. With an army of more than 10,000 people, the population in the city must be quite large. Such a big piece of fat meat cannot be let go. Chapter 60, Enemy at the Gate, Part 4. At present, Hu Cheng's army is about to attack the city, but the matter in Gaoshi needs to be delayed for a while. This is good. It will take some time for Lin Nan to spread the message from the base, and it will also take some time for the residents of Gaoshi to accept the meaning of the message, so there is no delay. Point in the base city. The construction of the outer city is still in full swing, and it has not stopped because of the imminent arrival of the Hu City army. However, the residents are also talking about it, but there is no fear in their words, because they believe in the guards and Luo Ren. Point in the base barracks. The guards were undergoing daily training, and Luo Ren Suan Tong stood side by side, looking at the guards who were training. The items in the training ground were all normal soldier training items. For the guard soldiers who had done it hundreds of times, it's very simple, and you can pass it easily. Luo Ren thought to himself, it seems that we need to find Kijun to redesign some projects and make them more difficult. Suan Tong on the side suddenly asked, "What are you thinking about, Luo?" Ren turned to look at her and said with a smile, "Nothing. I just want to make their training more difficult. It should be improved." Suan Tong agreed with the increase in training intensity and then said, "Brother Ren, I have a suggestion. Do you want to hear it?" Luo Ren asked, "What suggestions?" Suan Tong turned to look at the guards on the field and said, "Although the guards' physical and military qualities are very high and have reached the level of professional soldiers, their number is too small, only 1,000 people. My suggestion is to start from expanding the number of soldiers among the residents, can also enhance the overall strength of the base." Luo Ren shook his head decisively and said, "No, the guards are guards and the residents are residents. The two cannot be confused." The reason why he decisively refused was because Luo Ren had his own concerns. The guards were 100% loyal to him, but the residents were not sure. There might be some loyal people, like Lin Sien, who led the aquaculture construction, but more he doesn't know about these people, because he doesn't have the ability to read minds. If he builds an army from these people and gives them fighting power, there is number 100% guarantee that they won't have thoughts of betrayal one day. This is too risky and not good for him. It's also bad for the base. Point Suan Tong had a different opinion. The guards are guards, but residents can also be guards, just like me. Didn't you also let me join the guards? Moreover, whose army is about to attack? There may be tens of thousands of them, but there are only 1,000 guards. Even if we can hold on with the advantage of the city wall, if they choose to besiege us, will we have to be trapped in the city forever? Furthermore, even if they retreat due to lack of supplies or the like, what if they come back next time? And Brother Ren, didn't you say you wanted to destroy Hu City? At that time, we had to take the initiative to attack Hu City, but at that time Hu City had the advantage of the city wall. We only had 1,000 guards. How could we fight? In other words, even if we break through the defenses of Hu City and eliminate the army of Hu City, we can have such a large army. The population of Hu City is at least 50,000. With so many people, I think Brother Ren will definitely include them all. Base, then, how will 1,000 of us escort 50,000 or more people back to the base? Although Suan Tong's words were correct, 1,000 guardsmen was a bit too few, but with the help of the system, Luo Ren didn't have to worry about food, ammunition, or weapons and equipment. Even if the guardsmen were sacrificed, he could quickly replenish them. The advantage made him confident that Hu Qing could not break through the base, nor could it consume the base, so retreating was inevitable. And Suan Tong said that he kept saying that he wanted to destroy Hu City, but how could he destroy 1,000 guardsmen? This is indeed the difficult issue at the moment. If he hadn't been quick to wit when attacking Xiantang City, he climbed up the cliff and used a high explosive grenade to blow up the Xiantang army. Otherwise, whether Xiantang City could have been conquered is another question. Now Hu City is even more powerful, with more than 10,000 troops, which is much more powerful than Paradise City. However, he has already considered this problem and has a countermeasure in mind, which is Gaohe. If all the 7 or 8,000 people in Gaohe join the base can be upgraded to level 3 immediately. Although he does not know what weapons will be unlocked after the upgrade. How much can the equipment and the number of escorts be increased? But I think it shouldn't be too bad. After upgrading from level 1 to level 2, the number of guards increased from 130 to 1000, which is nearly 8 times the number. At the same time, the weapons and equipment also unlocked anti-instrument sniper rifles, light machine guns, and high explosive grenades. All are huge improvements. Therefore, Luo Ren guessed that the level 3 base should unlock weapons such as artillery and rocket launchers, and the number of escorts should also reach 5 to 6,000. By then, with such troops and weapons and equipment, it would be a piece of cake to capture Hu City. Therefore, Luo Ren still shook his head and said, I have my own plan in mind, let's talk about it later. And Tong wanted to say something more, but as soon as she opened her mouth, she saw Luo Ren waving his hand towards her. The rejection was very clear, so she could only shut up and sullenly muttered in her heart, I have my own plans. What can I do? Can the number of escorts still increase dramatically? Seeing her like this, Luo Ren was about to comfort her when he suddenly heard Luo Shan's voice. He looked around and saw Luo Shan running over. When he got closer, Luo Shan said, report to the commander, the vanguard of Hu Cheng army has been found 10 kilometers away. Luo Ren looked solemn and said, Hu Shan moved quickly, but he only took action in 2 days. Since the vanguard scouts are 10 kilometers away, Hu Cheng's army must not be far away. He hurriedly asked, how many vanguard scouts are there? Have they been captured? Luo Shan said, there are 5 Hucheng pioneers. We killed 3 and captured 2 alive. They are now locked up in the dungeon. Luo Ren was surprised and clapped his hands and said, okay, let's go to the dungeon quickly. We have to ask how many soldiers Hu Shan brought this time. The 3 of them went to the dungeon together and arrived soon. At the entrance of the dungeon, Luo Ren looked at Suan Tong and said, Antong, you just wait outside. Luo Shan and I will go down. Just standing at the door, Suan Tong could smell a musty smell. Thinking that the smell would be even worse inside, she nodded and agreed. Okay, Luo. Shan led the way and walked into the dungeon. The space inside was not big and the light was very dim. There was only a 50-watt light bulb emitting light, and it was flashing, creating a terrifying atmosphere, which made the prisoners here suffer a lot of psychological pressure. Walking to a cell, 2 Hucheng pioneers were sitting in the corner. Seeing the people coming, they showed expressions of fear and shrank their necks involuntarily. Luo Shan shouted, come here quickly, the commander has something to ask you. The 2 vanguards looked at each other and came over with fear in their hearts. Luo Ren asked, what are your names? Gilulu. The 2 were very nervous and scared, and they lowered their heads and dared not look at Luo Ren and Luo Shan. Seeing that the 2 did not answer, Luo Ren said sternly, the commander is asking you questions. The 2 trembled with fear, and one of them swallowed and said, my name is Bukao. The other one also said, my name is Liu Zhuang. Luo Ren then asked, how many of you are here this time? Chapter 61, Enemy at the Gate, V. The man in front of him was the chief of this place, and he could kill them with just one word. Since his life was in his hands, Bukao did not dare to lie. If he behaved better, he would still have a chance to survive. With this in his heart, Bukao was about to speak, but Liu Zhuang beside him pulled him and whispered, if you tell the information, the 2 of us will be dead when the city lord finds out. Although the voice was small, it was still heard by Luo Ren. He smiled softly and said, if you didn't tell me, you would be dead now. Although the words were spoken with a smile, they were like thunder in the ears of Bukao and Liu Zhuang. Yes, the city lord knew that they were dead, but if they didn't tell them, they would definitely die now. Bukao swept away Liu Zhuang's hand, glared at him, and then said, "Sir, I will say anything, but please spare my life." Luo Ren said, "Whether you can survive or not depends on your own performance. Please answer my questions quickly." Bukao said hurriedly, "I must perform well. Our expedition is personally commanded by the city lord Hushan, and there are almost 10,000 people." Luo Ren then asked, "How are the weapons and equipment? How about the ammunition and supplies?" Bukao replied, "More than 10,000 soldiers, each armed with homemade repeating rifles, each with 100 rounds of ammunition and 2 grenades. As for supplies, I only know that 10 medium-sized trucks and 2 light trucks were dispatched, including 10 medium-sized trucks. Most of what was being hauled was food, and the 2 light trucks were covered with raincloths, so you couldn't see what they were. You could smell some gunpowder when passing by, which should be weapons and ammunition. More than 10,000 soldiers, each with 100 rounds of ammunition, must have at least 1,000,000 rounds of ammunition. The number sounds scary, but it is nothing to be afraid of. As long as they don't have weapons such as artillery shells, they will never be able to break through the base's defense." Luo Ren secretly said, after thinking about it. He then asked, "Does Hu City have weapons such as artillery?" Bukao thought about it carefully and shook his head in denial. "No." In this way, Luo Ren was relieved. It didn't matter that he had an army of 10,000 people and didn't have artillery weapons. It was all nonsense. Point looking at the two of them, Luo Ren was quite satisfied with Bukao's performance and said to Luo Shan, "He performed well and is temporarily detained." After saying that, he looked at Liu Zhuang again. Luo Ren was very dissatisfied with his performance. Under Luo Ren's gaze, Liu Zhuang was trembling all over and his face was covered with fear. He regretted not performing well just now and said in his heart, I'm dead. Let's take him into custody for the time being." Luo Ren said, "Although I'm very dissatisfied with Liu Zhuang's performance, I don't want to kill him. Whether he deserves to die or not, it is still up to the residents of Hu City to judge. If he doesn't deserve to die, then carry out transformation and increase the population of the base. If he deserves to die, then kill him." All the questions that should be asked were asked, and Luo Ren did not stop in the dungeon. The small space, dim light, and strong misty smell all made Luo Ren not want to stay any longer. After Luo Ren Luoshan left, the dungeon returned to silence. Bukao and Liu Zhuang returned to the corner and sat down. They did not say that they would die immediately, but they did not say that they would not be killed. Their future was still unknown, and fear was still in their hearts. Breed. An army of 10,000 people cannot be underestimated and must be fully prepared. Luo Ren came to the military area after leaving the dungeon and produced 250 light machine guns and 6 million rounds of machine gun bullets. After the light machine guns were produced, Luo Ren ordered the escort to erect them all on the city wall. Including the previous 50, there were already 300 light machine guns set up on the city wall. With such a lineup, it would not matter even an army of 10,000 people. After doing this, the next step is to wait. Luo Ren ordered someone to bring a deck chair and place it on the city wall. He ate snacks and drank drinks, and just waited leisurely for the arrival of Hu Cheng's army. Time passed by and soon it was noon. But suddenly there was the roar of a car. Luo Ren removed the hat that covered his eyes and looked around. He saw an off-road vehicle speeding towards the base. The city gate was wide open and the car was let in. Luo He got out of the car. He ran up the city wall to Luo Ren and said, "Report to the commander, the Hucheng army has arrived 10 kilometers away." Luo Ren nodded slightly, then covered his eyes with his hat. Another hour passed, and another vehicle came rushing from outside the city. This time it was Luo Ji who came back. Luo Ji said to Luo Ren, "Hu Cheng's army has arrived 5 kilometers away, and it is expected that they will arrive at the city in about half an hour." Half an hour. Luo Ren put on his hat, stood up, and looked into the distance. There was no fear in his eyes, and he even looked forward to it. He turned his head and said, "Luo He, please arrange for a few people to inform the residents working in the outer city to stay away from the gate of the outer city." Yes. Luo He immediately went down to make arrangements. Luo Ren said again, "Everyone, Get ready for battle. Machine gunners load bullets and flip the safety. Don't wait until Hu Cheng's army comes. Also, snipers find a good position and set up their guns. Rifleman prepares under the city and at the same time prepare to deliver bullets or top. As soon as the order was given, within a few minutes, the escort was ready for the battle. Another 10 minutes passed. Luo Ren listened and vaguely heard the sound of dense footsteps. 5 minutes later, the footsteps were getting closer and closer. Looking ahead, there were crowds of people under the flying dust. It was Hu Qingjian who was coming. The scene was dark and dense, like a swarm of rats. The fully armed Hucheng army marched towards the base city. The army of 10,000 people was very imposing. If the soldiers of ordinary forces faced this scene, they would have collapsed and surrendered without a fight. But the guards were different. They were 100% loyal to Luo Ren and were not afraid of death. As long as Luo Ren gave an order, they would go, even if they knew they were going to die. Moreover, they were strong and well equipped. The base city wall was high and solid, and the 10,000-man army of Hucheng could not break through. The Hucheng army stopped 1 kilometer away from the base city, and a black off-road vehicle drove out of it. The off-road vehicle came to the city and a man got out of it. Luo Ren looked at the person who came, and he was still an acquaintance. He said, "Chen Hui, we meet again. Does Hu Xian send you here to say something?" Although there were 10,000 troops behind him, Chen Hui did not dare to be presumptuous. After all, he was so close, and he could not guarantee that he would not be shot to death if he angered Luo Ren. Clearing his throat, Chen Hui shouted, "My city lord said, as long as Commander Luo releases the young city lord and then takes the initiative to surrender, the city lord can forgive Commander Luo's previous offense and guarantee the safety of the lives of the soldiers and civilians in the base city. If Commander Luo still insists on his own way, then the Hucheng army will slaughter all the people in the city after breaking into the city. So, Commander Luo is a man of insight. You are not afraid of death, but your brothers and the residents of the city may not be so sure." "Oh," Luo Ren said with interest, "Hu Xian is really broad-minded. However, these people under my command really don't fear death. If you don't believe me, ask them." Hearing this, Chen Hui looked at the many guards. "If you want to fight, fight. Stop talking nonsense." Luo Shan took the lead in expressing his position, and then all the guards said in unison, "If you want to fight, fight. Stop talking nonsense." If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 62, Hucheng Army Retreats. Thousands of guardsmen expressed their stance at the same time, erupting with a terrifying momentum. Chen Hui immediately felt a strong sense of oppression coming towards his face. He was so frightened that he involuntarily took several steps back and stumbled to the ground, with cold sweat breaking out on his forehead. Hu Qingjian, who was 1 kilometer away, could clearly see the movement here, and they also heard the voices of the escorts very clearly. They couldn't help but cursed angrily. "You really don't know how high the sky is." In the center of Hucheng's army, on the Humvee, Hu Xian took a drag of the cigarette in his hand and exhaled a cloud of smoke. His soft eyes suddenly turned cold. He lowered the window and stretched out his hand. Soon a man wearing an officer's uniform left. Coming over, Hu Xian looked at Jun and said coldly, "Let Chen Hui come back and prepare for war." "Yes." The officer received the order, took out the walkie-talkie, pressed the call button and said, "The city lord ordered, return to the team immediately and prepare for war." Under the city wall, Chen Hui, who was sitting on the ground, suddenly heard from the intercom around his waist, "The city lord ordered, return to the team immediately and prepare for war." After hearing this, Chen Hui suppressed the fear in his heart and climbed onto the off-road vehicle, turned around and returned to the Hucheng army. Seeing this, Luo Ren naturally understood what was going on and immediately said loudly, "Brothers, those bastards in Hu City are going to attack the city. Are you all ready?" "Ready." Facing Hu Cheng's army, which was several times larger than his own, every guard soldier showed no fear and had high morale. Luo Ren was very satisfied with this and looked at Hu Chengjun, waiting for their attack. 1 2 3, just waiting like this. But 3 minutes passed. The imaginary army of 10,000 people attacking the city did not appear. Luo Ren's heng felt strange, and suddenly, there was a woo sound. An object came through the sky. Luo Ren took a closer look and was immediately startled. Holy crap, a rocket. Bang. Yes, the object that broke through the air was a rocket. The rocket hit the city wall and exploded instantly. A small mushroom cloud rose into the sky. In an instant, rubble flew, and the solid city wall made of concrete was blown out. The large pit with a diameter of 3 meters and a depth of nearly 2 meters. The guard soldiers located on this section of the city wall were more or less injured. If there were a few more rounds, this section of the city wall would definitely be blown through. Woo. Just as he thought, another rocket struck, this time hitting the city gate. A big hole was blown out of the iron gate behind him. Luo Ren raised his telescope and looked at it and saw a soldier in front of the Hachang army carrying a rocket launcher and another soldier loading rockets into the rocket launcher. There were still a few more rounds like that. How could they succeed? He said anxiously. Sniper, kill the soldier operating the rocket launcher on the other side. I'll do it. With a clear shout, Suan Tong rushed up to the city wall and quickly set up an anti-machine sniper rifle. Point boom. The huge vibration stirred up the dust on the ground, and the bullet cut through the air and instantly hit the soldier loading the rocket. At this time, he had just loaded the rocket, and when he was about to leave, he was hit by an anti-material sniper bullet in the chest. A bloody hole as big as a head was immediately exploded, and blood and flesh mixed with internal organs splashed all over the soldier carrying the rocket launcher. The soldier was also startled. He pulled the trigger involuntarily and fired the rocket. By coincidence, the rocket flew straight towards Suan Tong. Luo Ren was startled and rushed towards Suan Tong, trying to pull her away from the explosion range. Suan Tong's mouth curled up slightly, and then he pulled the trigger. Boom. Bang. The next scene shocked everyone present. The rocket exploded in midair before it hit the target. Suan Tong actually shot the rocket that was flying rapidly. It is not an exaggeration to call him a sharpshooter with this kind of marksmanship. However, she didn't seem satisfied. She quickly turned her gun and aimed at the soldier who fired the rocket. Then with a bang, the soldier's head exploded like a watermelon. Luo Ren's Adam's apple rolled up and down, and he looked at Suan Tong in surprise. Suan Tong noticed his gaze and winked at him proudly. Quickly coming back to his senses, Luo Ren ordered, all snipers focus on killing the soldiers operating the rocket launchers. If there are no rocket launcher soldiers, feel free to kill them. After Luo Ren's order, the sniper started shooting. The distance of 1 kilometer was completely within reach of the sniper rifle, and this was at the base, so there was no need to worry about bullet consumption. Hu Cheng's army suddenly went into chaos. The soldiers at the front retreated in horror when they saw their companions being killed by snipers on the Humvee. Hu Shan thought he was winning, but the troops in the front row suddenly panicked and retreated backwards. When he was confused, the officer from before ran over and said urgently, report to the city lord. Luo Ren has a sniper rifle. Our rocket launchers were useless under their long distance sniping, and their bullets seemed to be inexhaustible. They sniped and killed our soldiers at will. The soldiers in the front row were already panicking. Please ask the city lord. Order the troops to withdraw. Hu Shan put out the cigarette in his hand and was very angry. However, seeing that the front army was completely panicked, he had no choice but to give the order, retreat 2 kilometers. Under the watchful eyes of Luo Ren and others, the Hachang army retreated 2 kilometers, leaving more than 100 corpses on the ground with no one to clean them up. Luo Ren saw that they had not completely withdrawn their troops, but were stationed outside the range of the sniper rifle. He sneered in his heart, are you going to use the trapped word trick? Let's see who can outlast whom. 3 days passed. Hu Cheng's army, in the city lord's military tent. Chen Hui said to Hu Shan, city lord, that base is Luo Ren's base camp. They must have stored food. We can't consume their food. We should return to the city first, and then discuss new countermeasures. Bah, your words are just to boost their morale, and destroy your own prestige. We brought all the food in the city with us, which is enough to support the entire army for 15 days. It's only been 3 days, and you want to withdraw. An officer looked at Chen Hui with disdain, and then said, besides, there are tens of thousands of people in Luo Ren base. They are trapped like this. They can't go out to search for food. They can only rely on the food. Do you think they can outlast us? Once their food is insufficient, tens of thousands of residents in the city will starve, and will definitely rebel. Then we will wait for them to fight. Both sides will suffer losses, and the base city can be easily broken through. Chen Hui retorted, then have you ever thought about their self-sufficiency in the city? The officer was even more disdainful and said, self-sufficiency, so what? Can the crops they grow mature in one day? Or can their chickens and ducks lay eggs in one day, and then hatch in one day, and grow up in one day after hatching? Chen Hui was speechless after hearing this, sighed, and cast his eyes on Hushan. No matter how much they argued, it was useless. The final plan had to be decided by Hushan. Hushan took a puff of cigarette, exhaled a cloud of smoke, thought for a while and said, wait 10 days. If there is still no abnormality on Luo Ren's side after 10 days, then withdraw the troops. Yes. Chen Hui and the officer did not dare to refute, and responded at the same time in the base, facing the siege of the army outside the city. Everyone still worked and slept, because everyone knew that, even if the base's food reserves were eaten up, the commander would have a way to get food without leaving the city, so there was no need to worry about food shortages, so they were all very relieved. And when they heard that Hu Cheng's army planned to fight the base, they all laughed and said some contemptuous words. Chapter 63, Hucheng Army Retreats, Part 2. Time soon came to the 9th day. The base remains as usual, and the guard soldiers on the city wall are full of energy and fighting spirit. The residents in the city are also glowing. They are still so motivated at work, and everyone gets along very harmoniously. On the other hand, Hu Cheng's army had been stationed in the field for a long time, with no place to bathe or anything to entertain them. Moreover, Hushan neither ordered a retreat nor an attack. As it went by, the morale of the soldiers had become sluggish. In the military tent. Hushan stood with his hands behind his back facing the combat whiteboard. On the whiteboard were photos of the base, the escorts, and Luo Ren. Although there was no expression on his face, if you look carefully, you can still see the slight worry in his eyes. It has been 9 days, and the base is still as usual. There is no food shortage, and there is no suspected riot. Moreover, the soldiers on the city wall have always been full of fighting spirit. Their combat effectiveness has not been reduced at all, but on the contrary, their morale is low. How could he not be anxious? Behind him stood Chen Hui and various officers. Chen Hui was the first to speak. Report to the city lord. Our calculation is wrong. It is estimated that the food can feed the entire army for 15 days. As of today, the remaining food can last for 2 days at most. In other words, no matter whether Luo Ren has it or not tomorrow, if there is a confrontation between the army and the people as expected, we all have to withdraw our troops. Is it just a matter of returning without success? Hushan closed his eyes slightly, thought again and again, took a breath of moist air, then turned around, looked at Chen Hui, and said, you go to the base city to discuss with Luo Ren. As long as Hu Fei is released, I will immediately withdraw the troops. Remember, don't reveal that we don't have enough food. Going out with an army of 10,000 people would cost a lot of manpower and material resources. It would be unacceptable to return without success. Therefore, he had to fight for it in the end. If he could rescue Hu Fei, the trip would not be without gain. When Chen Hui heard the order, he clenched his fist slightly. His original intention was not to go, but the military order was overwhelming. Moreover, if he refused Hushan at this time, Hushan would definitely be furious, and he would inevitably be beaten. In desperation, had no choice but to bite the bullet and agree. Yes. Not long after, an off-road vehicle was dispatched from the camp, where Hu Qingjin was stationed, heading straight to the base city in a clear direction. When the car arrived at the bottom of the city, Chen Hui took a few deep breaths in the car, suppressing the fear in his heart, and praying that Luo Ren would come as usual. Then he opened the car door, got out of the car, and looked at the muzzle of the gun on the city wall. The soldier who was aiming at him politely shouted, I'm sent by the city lord to discuss matters with your chief Luo Ren. Please inform me. Wait a minute, Luo. Ji said something and ordered people to go and report. Luo Ren rushed over quickly, looked at Chen Hui under the city wall, and said with a smile, "We meet again. Why did Hu Xian ask you to come this time?" Chen Huaqiang forced out a smile that was uglier than crying and said, "The Lord of the city asked me to tell Chief Luo Ren that as long as the Lord Chief releases young Lord Hu Fei, we will immediately withdraw our troops. From then on, the grudges between the two families will be wiped out and the Basin Hu city will go to win-win cooperation." Luo Ren thought to himself, what a big change in attitude. At first, they not only asked me to release Hu Fei, but also asked me to open the door and surrender. But this time, they asked me to retreat immediately, as long as I released Hu Fei. Luo Ren sneered in his heart. It seems that Hu Xiang's CO not going down anymore. He cleared his throat and said with a half smile, "Oh, City Lord Hu is really a large number. As long as we let Hu Fei go, we will retreat. It sounds like a good deal, Chen." Hua's heart moved. After hearing this, Luo Ren wanted to let him go. However, he was disappointed the next moment. He only heard Luo Ren say, "It's a pity. I don't want to do such a good deal and mess with you. If I cooperate with the city, I will undoubtedly seek the skin of a tiger, which will only make me lose all my money. Therefore, you should go back and tell your city lord that I'm not afraid of attacking the city, and I'm even less afraid of wasting him. If he wants to attack the city, then come. If he wants to be wasted with me, then come. If he wants me to let his son go, you go back and tell him that his son Hu Fei is dead, as I have told him many times." After receiving the reply, Chen Hui did not dare to stay. He immediately drove back to the camp and came to the military tent to report immediately. When Hu Xian saw him coming back, he immediately asked, "How will Luo Ren reply, Chen?" Hui knew that Hu Xian would be angry when he said Luo Ren's true words. Cold sweat broke out on his forehead, and he said bravely, "Report to the city lord. If Luo Ren said that the city lord wants to attack the city, go ahead. If you want to waste him, he will. It is impossible for him to let him go." And Chen Hui glanced at Hu Xian's face and saw anger beginning to appear. He swallowed and said cautiously, "Besides, Luo Ren also said, the young city lord is dead." Bang! As soon as he finished speaking, Hu Xian overturned the table in front of him, starting Chen Hui, then suddenly approached him, grabbed his collar, and asked, "Xiao Fei is dead." Chen Hui just glanced at it and immediately looked away. Hu Xian's face became distorted due to extreme anger, and it was as scary as a zombie. Faced with such a situation, Chen Hui came to his senses in a hurry and hurriedly said, "Lord City Lord, what Luo Ren said is 70% true and 30% false. He said that the young city lord is dead, which may not necessarily be true. Just like last time, he said that he did not capture the young city lord alive, but then he admitted to capturing the young city lord when he called you. I guess he just wanted to make you angry. If you get angry because of this and get hurt, you have fallen into his trap." Hu Xian thought about it carefully and realized that what Chen Hui said made sense. His face immediately returned to calmness and the anger in his heart dissipated a lot. He would not fall for Luo Ren's low-level strategy. He let go of Chen Hui's collar, took 2 steps back, distanced himself from Chen Hui, and then said, "In that case, let's act according to the plan. You will inform me to withdraw the troops tomorrow." Chen Hui breathed a sigh of relief and responded quickly, "I'll go right away." After saying that, he went to various places in the army to announce the city lord's orders. After Chen Hui left, Hu Xian walked out of the military tent and looked in the direction of the base. He saw the walls of the big city and the guard soldiers as small as ants on the walls. The palms behind his back could not help but clenched into fists, and his eyes showed with hatred and murderous intent. He secretly said, "Luo Ren, wait for me. Next time I come back, I will destroy your city and kill you." In an instant, the hatred and murderous intent in his eyes turned into worry. "I don't know Xiao Fei, how's it going? Base, wall point." It has been half an hour since Chen Hui withdrew, but there was no movement from Hu Chengjun. Luo Ren smiled contemptuously. "It seems that Hu Xiansun really can't use it up anymore." Luo Ren smiled contemptuously. "It seems that Hu Xiansun really can't use it up anymore." Luo Ren smiled contemptuously. Ren looked back at the escort and shook his head. It's a pity. There are too many people. Less. Otherwise we can take advantage of their low morale and go out of the city to annihilate them in one fell swoop. Then he looked to the northwest, which was the direction of Gao's. As soon as Hu Xian withdrew his troops, he immediately set out to attack Gao's. It had been more than 10 days, but he still didn't know how well Lin Land was doing his propaganda work. I hope he can complete it successfully, so that not only can he defeat the enemy without fighting, and gain the population of 7,000 or 8,000 people in Gao's, and meet the base upgrade conditions, but he can also return to the base smoothly. Seeing that he is a person who values love and justice, he will be given his management position also allows him to create a better living environment for his younger brothers and sisters. Chapter 64, Hucheng Army Retreats, Part 3. The next day, early morning, Luo Shan came to report early in the morning. Sir, Hu Cheng's army has retreated. Luo Ren looked happy when he heard this, and he followed Luo Shan quickly to the city wall and used a telescope to look. Sure enough, Hu Qingjun was already dismantling the temporary camp and recycling useful items. What else could he be doing if he didn't want to retreat? At the same time, Luo suddenly came to report. Sir, the seized strange vehicle suddenly made a beeping sound. Luo Ren frowned slightly and said, take me to have a look. Following Luo to the strange vehicle with a big pot on its head, Luo Ren heard the sound of Diddy. Thought for a while, then opened the door, picked up the microphone, and pressed the button. Sizzling. After a few electric beeps, Hu Xian's voice came from inside. Luo Ren, you are so arrogant. You just answered the phone now. Luo Ren was too lazy to talk nonsense with him and said directly, if you have something to say it quickly, and if you have anything to say, let it go. There was silence for a while on the other end of the phone, and Hu Xian's voice came out again, this time clearly angry. Don't be complacent. Although you won this time, the next time I come back, it will be your end. I will destroy your city and your people. Luo Ren said contemptuously, really? Then I will wait. No, you don't need to come next time. I will take the initiative to destroy your Hu city. I, Luo Ren, will do what I say. Ha ha ha. As if he had heard the funniest joke in the world, Hu Xian laughed loudly and then stopped suddenly. He said harshly, you really don't know the heights of the world. If you have the ability, just come. I'll do it. I want to see how you can destroy me, Hu city. Luo Ren said, then just wait. After saying that, he hung up the phone. Hu Qingjun, on the Hummer. Hu Xian took the microphone away from his ear. The anger in his eyes was as real as ever. He took a long drag on the cigarette and exhaled a large cloud of smoke, making the car become foggy. The driver in the driver's seat did not smoke, and the smell of smoke was very uncomfortable, but he did not dare to complain or even open the window to let the smoke dissipate. Hu Xian pressed down the car window, ejected the cigarette, but that had not been extinguished, and leaned on the seat with his eyes closed to relax, thinking in his heart, Luo Ren, I don't know how high the world is. Do you think I can do this? I said that next time I come to destroy your city, I will definitely destroy your city and people. No, I won't kill you. I will let you watch others die one by one, and then I will cut off your hands. Put your feet on a dog leash and hang it at the door of the city lord's mansion, living like a dog. Report to the city lord that everything has been packed, and we are ready to go. At this moment, Chen Hui suddenly came to report. Hu Xian slowly opened his eyes, looked at Chen Hui, and said, then go back to the city. When leaving, he glanced in the direction of the base, then withdrew his gaze, and closed his eyes to rest. Base, wall. Luo Ren took a telescope to check and saw Hu Qingjun gradually retreating. He put down the telescope and looked at the guards and said, brothers, in the past few days, everyone has been eating and drinking on the city wall, except for going to the toilet. Solve it on the city wall. Thank you all for your hard work. It's not hard work, the escort soldiers said in unison. Luo Ren said loudly, now that Hu Xian has withdrawn his troops, everyone can relax. Let's have some drinks today. Sir is wise. The guard soldiers suddenly burst into excited roars. They are all hot-blooded men. The most enjoyable thing in the world, besides grudges, is drinking and chatting with companions and friends. However, one person frowned and was not interested in drinking. That was the only non-cyborg in the guard. Suan Tong is also the only woman. After waiting for the voice to subside, Luo Ren continued, however, relaxation is not indulgence. The safety of the base must still be given top priority. We cannot all drink at the same time, thus making the defense lax point in this way. We took turns to go in batches. The first 2 batches were 300 people, and the last batch was 400 people. Also, we must not get drunk, and we must ensure that we have a clear mind and fighting ability. Yes. The guard responded. Luo Ren glanced at the escort and announced loudly, then let's start now. The base was particularly lively today. Not only the guardsmen could drink and relax, but the residents also received an order from Luo Ren to have a rest today and not to work. At the same time, each person was given an individual soldier ration point today. The canteen in the inner city was packed and full of escorts. The beer that had been stored for a long time was taken out. Each person had 3 cans. They would definitely not get drunk. Under such circumstances, everyone was very happy. However, the cafeteria supervisor, Fatty Lee Jiu, and his friends were too busy and confused. Luo Ren did not participate in the drinking. Although he is also a passionate man, he does not like drinking, but prefers to drink Fat House Happy Water on the way back to the mobile base. The cafeteria was too crowded, so he didn't drink, so he stopped joining in the fun. Just then, he suddenly saw a familiar figure. It was Suan Tong, and he slapped his forehead. Oh, I forgot about her. Luo Ren immediately stepped forward and said with a smile, what is Tong doing here? Suan Tong rolled her eyes at him and said, I'm not doing anything, just hanging out. Luo Ren smiled and said, on this day when everyone is enjoying themselves, why are you hanging around? Come on, come with me, I have something good for you. Suan Tong asked in confusion, what good thing? Luo Ren smiled and said, you will know when you come with me. After saying that, he pulled Suan Tong towards the mobile base point. Soon they arrived at the mobile base, and after entering, Luo Ren brought her a stool. Please sit down. Suan Tong sat down, her eyes locked on Luo Ren, wondering what he was going to do. Luo Ren trotted into the bedroom, and then there was a sound of rummaging in the bedroom. Suan Tong couldn't help but look inside curiously, but because of the angle, she couldn't see anything. However, Luo Ren came out soon, and he was seen holding a lot of snacks, such as beef jerky, potato chips, and biscuits. Luo Ren put the snacks on the table, without stopping, walked to the refrigerator, opened the refrigerator, and revealed a full, colorful soda, comparable to a canteen, which made Suan Tong stunned. Luo Ren actually hid so many snacks and soda, thinking, this guy wouldn't use his power to steal from the grain warehouse. Thinking of this, Suan Tong couldn't help but look serious, and said earnestly, Brother Ren, you are wrong to do this. Luo Ren had just put the Fat House Happy Water in his hand on the table in front of Suan Tong, and heard Suan Tong say that he was wrong. He was immediately confused and said, what's wrong? What's wrong with me? You little brat, you still pretending not to know. Suan Tong thought, then pointed at the snacks on the table and said, where did you get these snacks from? Did you steal them from the grain depot by abusing your authority? I tell you, this is bad behavior. As the highest commander of the base, you should take the lead. If the residents know about this, it will affect your image in their hearts. If other managers know about it, they will also learn from you to use your authority for personal gain. Then the base will be in chaos. Chapter 65. Annexing Gao's Hay. After hearing this, Luo Ren smiled from ear to ear and explained, I went to the supermarket to buy this on the eve of the virus outbreak, but I spent all the money in my bank card instead of going to the base grain depot to steal it. I not that kind of person. Suan Tong looked disbelieving and said, don't lie to me. Why did you buy so many snacks on the eve of the virus outbreak? Did you know in advance that the virus would break out? Luo Ren smiled and said, you are really right. I have a strong ability to predict danger. On the eve of the doomsday, I felt that a catastrophe was about to come, so I prepared a lot of supplies. However, I have been busy, development base, but forgot to eat. He didn't say anything about the system, because it was too shocking, and Suan Tong might not believe it if he told it. Suan Tong frowned and stared at him for a while, but she had no doubts, because the world has become like this now, and it is not impossible to have the ability to predict. Maybe Luo Ren is the reincarnation of an animal, and has a super powerful third ability. Six senses. Luo Ren said, okay, let's clink glasses. They drink, and those of us who don't drink, can celebrate with fees. Hey, happy water instead of wine. Su and Tong no longer hesitated, raised the canned drink, and touched it with Luo Ren, then took a sip. The familiar taste and feeling made Su and Tong let out a sigh of relief, and then picked up a bag of potato chips unceremoniously. Chewed it crunchily. As a girl, she naturally loves to eat snacks. Since the outbreak of the virus, she has never eaten so happily. It is simply not too good. Seeing Su and Tong pack one pack after another, Luo Ren was not to be outdone. It's getting late into the night. The base that had been enjoying a day finally became quiet, and the residents fell asleep one after another at the mobile base. When Luo Ren was about to take a rest, the sound of conversation suddenly came from outside the house. Sir, he has fallen asleep. Please come back tomorrow. I have something important to see Brother Luo Ren. Please let me in. I'm really sorry. It's very late now. The commander has gone to bed. You can come back tomorrow. But, Luo Ren heard the voice, which was very familiar. It was Lin Nianteo, and he couldn't help shouting, I'm not asleep yet. Let her come in. Yes, the soldiers outside the house responded, and then the door of the mobile base was opened, and Lin Nianteo walked in. Luo Ren smiled and said, is there anything that Luan Tao wants to see me for so late? Lin Nianteo said, Brother Luo Ren, it has been more than 10 days. My brother is still in Gao's. When will we pick him up at the base? It turned out that he was worried about his brother. The relationship between the brother and sister was really good. Luo Ren got a chair for him and poured a glass of water. Why don't you come to me during the day? Although you don't have to worry about zombies and mutant animals at the base, it is quite dangerous if you encounter a poisonous snake or something on the road at night. Luo Ren did not answer Lin Nianteo's question immediately, but said with concern, I saw Brother Luo Ren and a sister together during the day, and I didn't have the nerve to disturb him, so I came to see you at night. Lin Nianteo said anxiously, Brother Luo Ren, you haven't answered my question yet. Luo Ren smiled and said, okay, I'll answer it now. On the day I came back, I planned to wait a few days before sending out troops to Gao's, but I didn't expect that the Hucheng army had been prepared to attack the city, which led to such a long delay. Now the Hucheng army has retreated. I will send troops to Gao's tomorrow. Really? Lin Nianteo was very surprised and asked, Brother Luo Ren really plans to send troops tomorrow? Luo Ren smiled and nodded, and said affirmatively, yes, it's tomorrow. Lin Nianteo's eyebrows were filled with joy, and she clenched her little hands into fists, showing great excitement. Then she asked, Brother Luo Ren, can you take me with you? I want to see my brother earlier this time. Luo Ren shook his head. This won't work, Lin Nianteo was a little disappointed. Luo Ren said, it's not that I don't want you to see your brother earlier, it's just that the outside world is too dangerous. I promised Brother Nian to take good care of you two siblings, and I can't break my promise. Don't worry, even if you don't go, you will see your brother soon. Yes. Lin Nianteo nodded obediently. Let's go, I'll take you back. Luo Ren stood up and came to the door to open the door of the mobile base. Lin Nianteo stood up quickly and said quickly, no, Brother Luo Ren, you don't need to give it to me. I can go back by myself. It's okay, I just happened to take a walk. Luo Ren said. Lin Nianteo no longer refused and allowed Luo Ren to send him back. The round trip lasted only 10 minutes or so. Luo Ren said. Ren returned to the mobile base after seeing Lin Nianteo off and fell asleep. The next day. After breakfast, Luo Ren came to the training ground and all the escorts gathered urgently. Luo Shan, Luo Hei and Luo G, Luo Li stood in front of them. Luo Ren said, Luo G, Luo Li, you lead 500 people to stay and defend the city. Luo Shan, Luo Hei, you lead the others out of the city with me. Luo Shan Luo Hei was confused as to why he suddenly gathered out of the city. Was it to attack Hu City? Why was it that he only brought 500 people, which was not enough? Luo Ren said, I was busy with Hushan's affairs a few days ago, and I didn't tell you. The place we went to today is called Gao Village. There are more than 7,000 residents in it. The leader of the village, Kinte, has only 100 troops, but they encountered foreign enemies will attack in groups. However, you don't need to worry. Those more than 7,000 people are just ordinary people who want to survive. I have arranged for people to spread the news about the base among them. This time we go, we will definitely not encounter desperate resistance. Luo Ren, Luo He and others suddenly realized that the chief is a chief, and they did so many things without even knowing it. Russell. At this time, footsteps sounded, and Luo Ren looked over and saw Suan Tong running over wearing a combat uniform and holding an anti-equipment sniper rifle. Suan Tong said to Luo Ren, there is also me. Have you forgotten that I'm also a member of the guard? The whole army was assembled, but they forgot to notify Suan Tong. But this is no wonder, Luo Ren. After all, the escort troops live in dormitories, and they are all in a small team. As long as the notification is continued, others will get the news immediately. As for Suan Tong, she was a bit special. Since she was a foreign member, and she was a girl, she did not live in a dormitory, and she was not included in the combat team. This made it easy for her to be forgotten when the entire army gathered. Luo Ren looked apologetic and didn't know how to explain. Suan Tong waved her hand magnanimously and said, forget it, I'm generous enough not to argue with you. Luo Ren breathed a sigh of relief and said, then you can stay and defend the city. Suan Tong refused and said, I'm almost bored to death staying at the base every day. I also want to go to that dog village. After finishing speaking, she murmured curiously, what is a dog village? There are many dogs. Suan Tong has eaten 2 evolutionary crystals. Among the guards, her physical fitness is only slightly weaker than that of Luo Ren, Luo He and others, but she is more than twice as strong as other ordinary soldiers who have not eaten the evolutionary crystals. It doesn't hurt to take her with her. Ren immediately nodded and agreed. Okay, then you can go to Gao's He with us. Chapter 66, Rebellion. The escort army left the city and headed towards Gao's He. At the same time, Gao's He was in the abandoned factory building in the center. Kinte sat on the sofa and listened to his subordinates report. Report to the village leader. The rumors about the base have spread throughout the village. It can be said that everyone knows about it. Kinte asked, how did the people react to these rumors? The subordinate said, they are very yearning for life at the base. We have secretly interviewed many people and they all said that they will definitely go to the base if they have the opportunity. Moreover, some of our soldiers also have this idea. Kinte stood up suddenly, came to the window, looked at the residents of Gao village coming and going below, and cursed angrily, a group of unruly people and a group of ignorant white-eyed wolves. Then he asked again, I'll let you investigate. Base, there is news. What kind of force is this? The subordinate said, according to the information we received from our investigation, the base is huge, with a population of tens of thousands and an army of thousands. The owner of the base is named Luo Ren, and his individual strength is also very strong. He should be an evolved human being. A few days ago, Hu Cheng's Hushayan led an army of 10,000 people to attack the base, but there was a stalemate for a long time. Just yesterday, the Hu Cheng army actually withdrew. Village leader, look, this is Luo Ren. The subordinate took out his mobile phone from his pocket. Although there was no signal and he couldn't make calls, the camera function was still very useful. He woke up the screen, opened the photo album, and clicked on a photo. The person on it was Luo Ren. Can't an army of 10,000 people attack the base? Kinte was shocked. Then he took the handed phone and looked at it carefully. His pupils shrank sharply. It's him. This is a face he will never forget. It was this man who humiliated him in front of his soldiers just a dozen days ago. Unexpectedly, he was the owner of the base. In this case, why did the rumors about the base spread? The news spread throughout Gao's He, but the reason could be found. Damn it, you not only humiliated me, but also planted spies in my territory to spread rumors in an attempt to dismantle me from within. Kinte's palms clenched involuntarily, and the cell phone that could block bullets exploded with his bare hands. The subordinates were secretly shocked, wondering why the village leader suddenly became angry, but Kinte said, "Have you found the first person who spread rumors about the base?" The subordinate replied, "Found it. We have initially targeted these people." He took out his mobile phone again, opened the photo album, clicked on a photo, and said, "This person is called Marberi." Then he clicked on another person. Photo. "This person is called Li Ke." Finally, he scrolled to Lin Nyan's photo and said, "This person is called Lin Nyan. Among these people, he was most likely the first person to spread the rumor. We found out that he went out with 5 people to search for food for several days and did not come back. It stands to reason that if he did not come back for such a long time, he would either be killed by other survivors or be killed by other survivors. The zombies had enough to eat, but he came back, and he was the only one. None of the 5 people who were with him came back. Also, he originally had a sister and a brother, but once he went out to relieve himself, his brother and sister disappeared, and he didn't hear him say why they were missing. This was really too much of a coincidence." And not long after that, rumors about the base began to spread in the village. After Kinte heard this, he basically confirmed that the first person who spread the rumors was Lin Nyan. It seemed that he was the spy planted by Luo Ren and Gauss He. As for the others, he was also dealt with, which just served as a deterrent to let these unscrupulous people know betrayal of oneself comes at the price of blood. With this in mind, Kinte ordered, "You lead people to arrest all the people I just mentioned. After killing them, hang their bodies in the most conspicuous place, so that these unscrupulous people can see the consequences of betraying me." "Yes," the subordinate responded. After his subordinates left, Kinte rubbed his eyebrows and said, "We can't stay in Gauss He any longer. We have to evacuate immediately. Otherwise, if Luo Ren leads his army, these more than 7,000 unruly people will definitely not be able to resist." In the simple house, Lin Nyan was eating dinner. Suddenly, several soldiers broke in, and one of them sternly shouted, "Tie him up." Lin Nyan was shocked. He knew why he was arrested. It seemed that the spread of the matter had been found out by Kinte. However, he refused to admit it and shouted innocently, "What are you doing? I didn't. It's against the rules. Stop talking nonsense and take it away." At the same time, voices calling for injustice came from other houses in Gauss He, basically saying, "I'm innocent. I didn't break the rules." While being held at gunpoint, Lin Nyan and several others were escorted out of Gauss He and came to a jungle. The jungle was filled with dozens of skeletons. One characteristic of these skeletons was that there was a small hole between the eyebrows. The bones on the back of his head were blown off, and it was obvious that he had been shot to death. Lin Nyan naturally knew where this place was. This was the place where Kinte executed prisoners. These soldiers had made it clear that they had brought him here. With his eyes closed tightly, he was already prepared to face death for taking this job. Thinking that his younger brothers and sisters were living a good life at the base, he had no regrets. Then he felt the cold muzzle of the gun pointed at his forehead, indicating that death was imminent. But after a while, not only was there no shot, but the muzzle of the gun was also moved away from his forehead point. After waiting for a while, there was still no response, and he didn't hear the gunshots that killed other people. He couldn't help but open his eyes and look to the left. It was those unlucky people, many of whom were his old acquaintances, who were staring at him resentfully. Looking at him, looking to the right, 10 soldiers were more than 10 meters away from them, forming a circle and discussing something in a low voice. Just when he was wondering, something unexpected happened. 9 of the soldiers who had been having a good discussion a second ago suddenly knocked one of them down, took the man's gun, and then raised the gun and pointed it at the man's head with the butt of the gun. He was hit on the head. After a few blows, his head was bleeding and he fainted. The other 9 people looked at each other, breathing rapidly. It took a while before they calmed down. One of them squatted down and stretched out his finger to test the breath of the man on the ground, and then said a few words to the people standing there. The 9 people discussed for a while, and then they all looked determined. 6 of them raised their guns and pointed them at the unconscious man on the ground. Bang! 6 people shot at the same time, and the man on the ground was no longer unconscious, but completely dead. Then, under Lin Nyan's confused gaze, 9 people came over. All 9 people's faces were full of smiles. One of them said, "Old Lin, remember me, Dali, this is Niu." The soldier who called himself Dali introduced all 8 of his companions and then said, "Old Lin, you also saw the scene just now. To be honest with you, we all dislike Kente. That guy has a bad temper and drills us at every turn, and it's extremely double standards. His cronies will be imprisoned for a few days at most if they make mistakes, and we will be severely punished if we don't do what he ordered us to do. Did you see that the guy we killed was one of Kente's cronies? We just discussed that we should abandon the dark side and surrender to the light and let you go to the base with you. But no matter how hard we talk, he just doesn't agree, so we can only kill him. Luo Ren, you can't go back to Gaohe now, and we can't go back to Gaohe. You see, we have done this. You and I are still old acquaintances, so just take us to the base together." Chapter 67 Goodbye Lin Nandi. Lin Nandi finally understood why these people suddenly attacked their companions. Since they all did this, they must have been determined to go to the base. This was good, and he and his old acquaintances who were captured because of him would not have to die. Of course I can take you to the base, but Lin Nandi looked down at himself who was tied up. "Oh, I understand." Dali immediately reacted and untied the rope for Lin Nandi and said at the same time, "Don't stand there, those brothers are still tied up." Soon after untying the ropes of Lin Nandi and others, Dali and others looked at Lin Nandi and others with expectation. The people who were captured with Lin Nandi felt a little guilty under the expectant eyes of Dali and others. They didn't know how to get to the base, so they could only look at Lin Nandi because Lin Nandi told them about the base. Lin Nandi naturally knew, stretched his muscles, and then said, "Let's get on the road." The others were surprised and followed Lin Nandi on the road to the base. After they left, a team of dozens of people rushed out of Gaohe, led by a long-haired man. When they arrived in the jungle, the long-haired man did not see the bodies of Lin Nandi and the others, but found the bodies of Kente's confidants. He was furious on the spot and punched the tree, and the leaves fell. Chase, Lin Nandi also knew that Kente would definitely notice what happened in the forest, so he trotted all the way and did not dare to slow down. At this time, the sky was already dark and the wind was howling in all directions, which was very scary. It would be very dangerous to encounter a large number of zombies in such an environment. At this time, Lin Nandi, who was leading the way, suddenly stopped. The others stopped, and Ali stepped forward and asked, "Why did Luo Ren stop suddenly?" Lin Nandi did not speak, but raised his arm and pointed forward. Dali looked closely, staggered back a few steps, and then fell to the ground. At this time, everyone else looked forward, all in fear. There were hundreds of people in front of them at a glance. In this dark environment, only the outline could be seen. The first thing they thought of was zombies. "Lee, what should we do, Brother Lee?" Niu said tremblingly. There were more than a dozen of them, with only 10 homemade single-shot guns. Facing hundreds of zombies was undoubtedly a dead end. Dali had no choice but to look at Lin Nandi. But with so many zombies, what could Lin Nandi do? Just when they were desperate, a light suddenly lit up in front of them. They could see clearly that the hundreds of figures were not zombies, but real flesh and blood humans. Then the crowd in front dispersed, and a modified off-road vehicle drove out. The light from the 2 headlights made it difficult for Lin Nandi and his men to adapt for a while, and they all covered their eyes. The car door opened, and a man got out. He smiled and said, "Brother Nandi, long time no see." Hearing this familiar voice, Lin Nandi's heart suddenly tightened. Then he squinted his eyes and looked over. After seeing the person clearly, he immediately shouted excitedly, "Captain Luo Ren." People who came with him also got used to the lights. When they heard Lin Nandi calling him Captain Luo Ren, they looked at the man in front of them in confusion. After staring for a while, Dali and his companions were suddenly startled. Niu stuttered, yes, it's him, the evolved human. That's right, the person who came was Luo Ren who went to Gaohe." After hearing Niu's words, he looked at the familiar clothes and guns, and couldn't help asking, "What's going on?" Lin Nandi naturally knew what Luo Ren was asking, and explained, "They are all people who can't stand Kente's rule, and want to join the base." "Oh." Luo Ren suddenly realized and was surprised. Lin Yandi's work is really good. Even Kintei's soldiers have been instigated to rebel, but why are they here? Thinking of this, Luo Ren asked again, "You are not in Gaoshi, where are you going?" Lin Yandi sighed and told Luo Ren the cause and effect of the matter. "So, that's it." Luo Ren said to Dali and others, "You are very good. You have abandoned darkness and joined the light, and the base welcomes you, but we are not going back to the base now. You have to go to Gaoshi with me first. At that time, we will return to the base with more than 7,000 residents of Gaoshi." "Thank you, sir." Dali and others said excitedly, "Yeah." Luo Ren nodded and at the same time ordered to turn off the lights. The light at night is easy to attract zombies, so try to find the way with natural light point. Just as they were about to continue heading towards Gaoshi, suddenly, an extremely arrogant voice came, "HMPH. You bunch of ungrateful bastards actually dared to release important criminals privately and kill your companions. You deserve to die." After hearing this, Dali and the others looked at each other. They all knew who was coming, but the hundreds of well-equipped troops behind them did not scare them at all. Dali trotted to Luo Ren and said, "Report to the commander. It should be Kintei's second brother Kinheng. They must be here to hunt us down." Luo Ren also found Kinheng's voice very familiar. He looked towards the darkness ahead. Soon, a long-haired man with dozens of people broke through the darkness and entered his field of vision. Although it was too dark to see his face clearly, Luo Ren could still tell who it was from his walking posture and long hair. He couldn't help but say, "It's him." The man who came was the one whose face was swollen like a pig's head by Luo Ren that day. It turned out that his name was Kinheng. Kintei's second brother Kinheng approached step by step. At the same time, Lin Yan and others, Luo Ren, and the guards behind Luo Ren also came into his sight. His steps couldn't help but freeze. He also couldn't see clearly, but there were so many people on the other side. Even if it wasn't a human being, it was a zombie that his dozens of people couldn't deal with. Moreover, the figure opposite didn't pounce on him immediately, so it was obvious that he was a human being. Since he knew that the other party was a human being, there was room for negotiation. Kinheng plucked up the courage to speak. "Brothers across the way, those people are traitors in our Gaoshi village. We are here just to arrest them, and we also ask the brothers across the way to show their respect." Luo Ren was surprised that this Kinheng did not start the fight directly, but chose to discuss it. He was really a bully and afraid of the strong. That day, he probably wanted to kill him arrogantly because he was just a human being. However, since he wanted to discuss it, he should discuss it with him first, but Luo Ren did not intend to discuss it with them himself. Instead, he whispered a few words in Dali's ear and then smiled. "Go ahead." Dali grinned, gestured okay, walked forward, cleared his throat, and shouted to the soldiers behind Kinheng, "Brothers, I know that you are forced to join us just to survive. Kintei's men were beaten and scolded, but now there is a chance to escape. Do you know who is behind me? They are the guards of the base. As long as you put down your guns and surrender, the commander has said that you are allowed to join the base. Brothers, I believe you have all heard of the base. You don't have to be beaten or scolded, you don't have to worry about hunger, and you don't have to be afraid of zombies. This kind of place is simply a paradise on earth." The dozens of people led by Kinheng behind him were a little shaken after hearing Dali's words. Dali continued, "Following Kintei can only live without dignity. When he is angry, he will vent to us. Do you remember? Ziohe, who was thrown into the cellar by Kintei to feed zombies more than 10 days ago. Who of you can I guarantee that Kintei won't throw you into the cellar to feed the zombies when he gets angry?" And this Kinheng, you know his temper as well as I do, or even better than me. If you don't join the base, you will only end up being killed by the escort, or returning without success with him. What will Kinheng do to you then? You should figure it out yourself. Chapter 68. Conquering the enemy without fighting. Damn it. Shut up. Kinheng was angry, pointed his gun at Dali, and was about to shoot, hoping to shut him up completely in this way. In the flash of lightning, only a gunshot was heard. Bang. Dali was startled. He closed his eyes tightly and hugged himself. After a few seconds, he did not feel the pain of being hit by the bullet. He groped up and down for a while. There was no hot blood from him and no wounds. He slowly opened his eyes. When he opened his eyes, he saw the pistol in Kin Heng's hand falling to the ground, with a bullet still embedded in the pistol. Looking back, I saw a hand holding a gun returning to the car. Seeing this scene, Dali could imagine what happened in the flash of lightning just now, and he felt more confident. He put his hands on his hips and yelled, "You bastard, Kin Heng, you are really a beast, you can't let me say anything to you. Are you so angry that you still want to kill me? Haha, it's just you. The chief and the guards are here. You want to kill me, but you don't have the ability." Kin Heng's eyes were split open, and he was so angry that he was dizzy. He still cared about the hundreds of people opposite him, and said angrily, "Why are you just standing there? Shoot and kill these damn white-eyed wolves." It's a pity that no one listened to his order. Dali's words touched the hearts of dozens of soldiers. If they would just move just now, they have now seriously considered it. Damn it, you white-eyed wolves. Seeing that no one was paying attention to him, Kin Heng kicked the soldier next to him away, and then attacked another person. Kin Heng's behavior at this time immediately made the soldiers who were still thinking make up their mind, and they pointed their guns at Kin Heng. One of them said angrily, "You are a white-eyed wolf with one mouthful. What have you given us? You only give us 2 meals a day. If you are not full, you cannot add more. If the food is insufficient, it is acceptable, but you yourself are big fish and meat, and you eat hot and spicy food. It's us who do the work, but it's you who enjoy it, and you beat and scold us whenever something doesn't go your way. I've had enough. Yes, I've had enough too. Me too." Dozens of soldiers expressed their opinions one after another, which made Kin Heng even more angry. He pointed at them and cursed angrily, "Rebellion. Rebel. You damn people are rebelling. I will kill you traitors now." Kin Heng was overwhelmed with anger. Although he was much stronger than ordinary people, he could not dodge bullets like his elder brother Kinte. When he rushed towards the dozens of people, he only heard bang bang bang. Dozens of guns were fired at the same time, and bullets came towards his face. Kinte could not avoid it, and was beaten into a sieve in an instant. His movements froze instantly, and then he went straight backwards, covering his body with bullets. Blood flowed from the bullet hole to the ground. Kinte's eyes widened, and he died unwillingly. Point bang bang bang. Luo Ren clapped his hands and stepped forward. Upon seeing this, the dozens of soldiers immediately threw away their guns and knelt down at the same time. One of them said, "We are willing to abandon the dark side and join the light side to join the base. Please accept your permission, sir. We are willing to abandon the dark side and join the base, and we ask for your permission, sir." Dozens of soldiers said in unison. Luo Ren smiled and said, "Get up quickly, the base welcomes you." Dozens of soldiers were all happy and thanked them quickly. "Thank you, sir." Luo Ren ordered the firearms to be confiscated, then asked Lin Yan and others to follow the rear of the escort, and then continued on the road. This place was not far from Gao's. It took Luo Ren and the others less than half an hour to finally see Gao's with its weak lights. The lights of the vehicle were turned on, instantly attracting the attention of everyone in Gao's. Then Luo Ren took out a loudspeaker and shouted, "People inside, listen, I'm Luo Ren from the base. Today I'm here to pick you up and go to the base. Those who are interested in going to the base should place their weapons at their doorsteps, and I, Luo Ren, can guarantee your safety after the escort troops enter the base." Immediately afterwards, Luo Ren called Lin Yan and others and said, "You also want to say a few words?" Lin Yan took the horn and was the first to say, "Brothers and sisters, I'm Lin Yan. Some of you know me, and some of you don't. I only want to say one thing. The matter about the base is that I was ordered by the commander. I guarantee that everything I said about the base is true, and dozens of brothers have joined the base, including Kinte's soldiers. I will let them say a few words." After saying that, he handed the trumpet in his hand to Dali, cleared his throat, and then said, "Well, good evening, everyone. I'm Chen Dali. Some of you should know me. Yes, I'm under Kinte's command. Soldiers, besides me, there are dozens of soldiers under Kinte's command who have abandoned the secrets and joined the base. This shows that what Laolin said is true." After Dali finished speaking, he continued to pass the trumpet. This time it was passed to Niuoshu. He first complained, "Brother Dali, you are doing very well. Thank you everyone for making it look like a gala. Look at me, NIU. Put the trumpet to his mouth. Well, that. I'm NIU. Thank you. The others were stunned. They said they liked you, but that's it. NIU blushed and handed the trumpet to the next person, then covered his face and ran to the back of the team to hide. The surrendered people here spoke one by one, while in Gauss Hay, Kinte smashed the tea table in front of him with his palm, then walked back and forth, and when he saw that the sofa was not pleasing to his eyes, he kicked it away. Damn it. Damn it. He roared angrily, smashed things crazily, looked at the windowsill, then rushed out and jumped directly from the second floor. Boom. A man jumped down from the building. The guards saw that it was Kinte and immediately turned their eyes. They heard Kinte's roar and saw that he was full of anger. They didn't want to attract Kinte's attention, otherwise they would be beaten at the least or even lose their lives. At the same time, they also heard what the people outside said, and they were also very tempted. Kinte glanced at the soldiers and said in a deep voice, "Do you also want to join the base? If anyone wants to go, then go. I will definitely not stop you." Although he said so, who would dare to believe it from the tone? If that blind person thought that what Kinte said was true and went out to surrender, Kinte would probably throw this person into the cellar to feed the zombies immediately. Humph. Seeing that no one dared to move, Kinte snorted coldly and said sternly, "Since everyone wants to go, why are you still standing there? Hurry up and organize those stubborn people to defend." Dozens of soldiers immediately scattered and went to various places in Gauss Hay to organize residents for defense. In the west area of Gauss Hay, a team of soldiers shouted loudly, "Strong enemies are coming. Everyone hurry up and pick up weapons and prepare to fight." The civilians only looked at the team of soldiers when they heard this, but no one picked up their weapons. In the east area of Gauss Hay, a team of soldiers also arrived and shouted loudly, "Everyone hurry up. Pick up your weapons and never let the people from the base enter the village." As in the west area, civilians threw their weapons at the door and people stayed at home quietly waiting for the guards to enter the village. The soldier guards who mobilized civilians in the central area also encountered the same problem. No civilian was willing to take up weapons to defend against the guards. At this time, Kinte walked onto the street and saw weapons thrown at the door of every house, and he clenched his fists involuntarily. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 69, Kinte's death. The civilians threw their weapons at the door, which meant that they gave up Kinte and chose to join the base and Luo Ren. This made him very angry, extremely angry. The Gauss Hay he had worked so hard to build was actually going to fall into the hands of others, and it was Luo Ren who had humiliated him. This made him very unwilling. But now, what's the use of his unwillingness? He couldn't win in a single fight, and he couldn't win in a group fight. There was only one way to go, that was to escape. He was an evolved human, and had eaten evolution crystals. Even if it was dark at this time, he didn't have to be afraid of zombies. He thought to himself. They looked at his soldiers, what these people were thinking. He could probably guess. Probably they also wanted to join the base, but they didn't show it, because they were afraid of him. Since you have the heart to betray me, I will let you know, before I leave, what the consequences of betraying me are. Kinte exuded a strong murderous intent. He pulled out the dagger tied to his leg, and rushed towards the team of soldiers who were shouting until their voices were hoarse. At that moment, the soldiers felt a chill on their backs and a cold wind blew. One soldier looked back, and saw a figure flashing. Puff. The soldier covered his neck. Blood spurted out from his fingers, and his face turned pale quickly due to excessive blood loss. Then he collapsed to the ground, staring at Kinte with resentment and hatred. The others saw clearly that the person coming was Kinte, and felt his strong killing intent and couldn't help but feel fear and screamed, "Ah!" Outside Gauss Hay, Luo Ren heard this harsh and miserable scream, frowned, and immediately ordered, "Enter the village." Hundreds of guards took action and headed towards Gauss Hay, while Luo Ren took the lead. He followed the screams to the central area of Gaoshei and saw more than a dozen corpses lying on the ground, all of whom were soldiers under Kinte. These soldiers were terrified and unwilling, and each of them died by having their throats cut or their hearts pierced by sharp weapons. This made him think of Kinte first. At the same time, screams came from the west side of the village, and Luo Ren immediately set out point in just a dozen seconds. Luo Ren arrived at the west area, and he saw Kinte cutting a soldier's throat. Kinte noticed Luo Ren and was shocked. He was no match for Luo Ren, so he chose to run away immediately. What a beast, he doesn't even let his own people go. How could Luo Ren let him succeed? He cursed and chased him. Kinte's speed was far less than Luo Ren's, and he was caught up in a short while. Luo Ren punched him in the back and knocked him out. Kinte fell to the ground and rolled more than 10 meters before stopping. This made his body covered with mud. Kinte quickly stood up and faced Luo Ren head on, with the flames of anger and hatred burning in his eyes. He rushed over with awe, and there was no escape, so he had to fight. Facing his desperate posture, Luo Ren smiled lightly and kicked him more quickly, sending him flying more than 10 meters away. Then he followed and kicked him away again, landing right next to a hole in the ground. Puff. Kinte lay on the ground, spitting blood. Luo Ren's two kicks not only broke several of his ribs, but also injured his internal organs. At this time, as long as he exerted force, his body would be in great pain. Watching Luo Ren approaching step by step, like Bei Wucheng who was asking for his life and He Wucheng who was seducing souls, Kinte felt desperate, and he was sure to die today. He stared at Luo Ren with hatred for a while, and suddenly, with a determined look on his face, he rolled back and fell into the hole in the ground. Bang! It should be the bottom, and the sound of a heavy object falling to the ground came from the hole in the ground. Luo Ren rushed forward and leaned over to look at the cave. It was dark inside without any light, and he couldn't see anything clearly. He thought, it can't be another tunnel or something like that. Long Kai from Paradise City escaped through the tunnel. If Kinte also escaped through the tunnel, it would be too uncomfortable. Luo Ren was about to jump down the cave to chase him, but at this moment, a painful roar came from the cave. Luo Ren could tell that it was Kinte's voice, and then roar. Another beast-like roar came from the cave. Hearing the sound, Luo Ren quickly stepped back a few steps to distance himself from the cave. A surprised expression appeared on his face, and he muttered, "This is the roar of the evolved zombies. There are evolved zombies in this cave." Could it be that Kinte knew there were zombies under the cave and would rather be eaten by zombies than be caught by me? Luo Ren then took a few steps forward and went to the edge of the cave. The roar of zombies could be heard from the cave from time to time. It seemed that Kinte was doomed. He wanted to ask whether Kinte had eaten the evolution crystal or evolved naturally, but now it seemed that there was no chance. Luo Ren pulled off a high explosive grenade. Since there were evolved zombies under the cave, he would naturally not let go of the evolution crystal. He pulled the safety pin, threw the high explosive grenade into the cave, and quickly retreated dozens of meters. He counted in his mind, 1, 2, 3. When he counted to 10 seconds, there was an explosion with a bang. The ground was shaking, and the flames of the explosion rushed out of the cave, and a black shadow came out with the flames. The black shadow rushed over quickly, and the fishy smell hit him. Luo Ren guessed that it was a speed type zombie, but this zombie was much faster than the ordinary level 1 speed type evolved zombie. Luo Ren hurriedly retreated and narrowly avoided the zombie's attack. At this time, he looked closely and found that it was indeed a speed type evolved zombie, but this zombie was a little different from other levels 1 speed type evolution zombies, that is, its size. Whether it is an ordinary zombie or a level 1 evolution zombie, the eyes are all white, but this zombie's eyes are actually glowing with a faint red light, which is really strange. Roar. After the attack missed, the zombie continued to pounce, and Luo Ren also drew his saber to fight it. The speed of this zombie is very fast, comparable to Luo Ren, and the sharpness of its 2 claws is no worse than that of the saber. The zombie rushed to Luo Ren and stabbed with his right claw. Luo Ren used his saber to block its claw. The zombie then swung the other claw horizontally to grab Luo Ren's head. Luo Ren moved back and barely avoided it, then held the knife with both hands and chopped the zombie's head diagonally. Zombie's reaction speed was also very fast. Luo Ren's knife was dodged by it. Luo Ren took advantage of the situation and chased after it. He held the knife in his backhand and swept it out, intending to cut the zombie into 2 pieces. The zombie parried with his claws. The saber chopped on his claws, making a sound of metal hitting metal, and sparks flew everywhere, which was very eye-catching in the dark night. This zombie's strength was weaker than Luo Ren's. Luo Ren did not move at all, and the zombie retreated more than 10 steps. After suffering a small loss, it roared at Luo Ren, and its face showed human anger. Luo Ren was shocked. How is this possible? Aren't zombies without thoughts and only know how to kill? But the zombie in front of me is expressing anger to me. Swish. At the same time, neat footsteps sounded, and the guards rushed over. When the zombie saw the large number of guards, he couldn't help but retreat a few steps, showing a terrified expression, roaring at Luo Ren, and then turned and ran away, disappearing rapidly into the darkness. Chapter 70 Quasi Level 2 Evolved Zombie. Luo Ren was even more surprised. The zombie in front of him actually had human-like thoughts. Not only did he know fear, but he also knew terror. This was incredible. Luo Ren immediately asked the system, how could that zombie just now have human thoughts? Isn't it a zombie? The system gave a reply. The zombie just now was indeed an evolved zombie, but it was at a higher level, and had reached the level of Quasi Level 2. It is expected that it will evolve into a real level 2 zombie in less than 7 days. Level 2 evolved zombie? Luo Ren felt a pressure falling on his heart, which made him a little depressed. He thought to himself, it can evolve into a real level 2 evolved zombie in less than 7 days. It is only Quasi Level 2. Its speed is not slower than that of me who has eaten 8 evolution crystals. If it evolves to level 2, how fast will it be? Moreover, it has human emotions. It knows to run away when it can't beat it. It is much more difficult to deal with than a level 1 zombie. Seeing Luo Ren staring at the darkness in front of him and standing blankly, Luo Shan couldn't help but walk up to him and ask, "Sir, are you not injured?" The voice entered his ears, and Luo Ren was pulled back to reality from his own thoughts. He turned his head to see Luo Shan, and then turned around to see hundreds of guards behind him. The morale was high, and the pressure in his heart disappeared immediately. He thought, what's wrong with a level 2 evolved zombie? I'm not alone. If I meet it again, I can just kill it to get the level 2 evolution crystal, and evolve myself to level 2, right? Moreover, with more than 7,000 people from Gaohe joining the base can be upgraded immediately. The weapons and equipment of my level 3 base can't beat your little level 2 zombie. Thinking so, he put his hand on Luo Shan's shoulder. It's just a small zombie. It can't hurt me. Then he took 2 steps forward to get closer to the team and ordered 20 people in the front row, step out and follow me to the central factory, and the others will collect the weapons and equipment handed over by civilians. The troops were divided into 2 groups. Luo Ren led 20 people to the central factory. The journey took only a few minutes. At this time, there were no guards near the factory. They were all sent by Kinte to mobilize residents, and then they were killed by him. The factory door was closed. Luo Ren stepped forward and kicked the door open. The moment the door opened, he saw 2 people pointing guns at the door. Seeing that they were about to shoot, the guards behind Luo Ren reacted quickly. Only 2 gunshots were heard, and the 2 men fell to the ground. Entering the factory, the decoration inside is not gorgeous, not as good as Long Kai's residence in Paradise City, and not even as good as Wan Hu's 3-story villa. After the guards searched the factory, the upper and lower floors were turned upside down, but they didn't find anything useful. There were only a few of Kinte's confidants, and they were all good-looking men. Each of them showed a touch of femininity between their eyebrows. This was something Luo Ren didn't expect. Kinte looked like a very masculine man, but he didn't expect that he liked this. After the search, Luo Ren didn't stay in the factory for long. I always felt a gust of cold wind blowing, which made his back cold. Luo Ren asked Luo Shan and Luo He to take care of the rest, and he found a place to sleep. The next day, early in the morning, the first ray of sunlight broke through the clouds and shone on Luo Ren's face. Luo Ren's eyelids trembled and then slowly opened. He stretched comfortably. It was time to return to the base. At this time, the guards and more than 7,000 civilians had gathered outside Gao village, waiting for Luo Ren's order. Luo Ren came to the outside of the village. His eyes after scanning the crowd, he immediately ordered to set off, and the team of several thousand people set out on the journey back to the base. It was noon in a blink of an eye. At this time, they were still halfway to the base. The guards were fine, but most of the civilians were panting and very tired. Luo Ren immediately ordered them to rest on the spot and took out food from the vehicles towing supplies to distribute to the civilians. The civilians were grateful for the food and yearned for the base even more. While everyone was eating food and sitting on the ground to rest. "Hey, what is that?" A civilian pointed to the horizon and suddenly said, "What is that?" Another civilian heard the words and looked in the direction of the pointing curiously, only to see a black piece, and it was moving quickly towards them. Soon, more people also saw the black piece on the horizon. At the same time, Luo Ren also saw it and was shocked in his heart and hurriedly shouted, "Prepare for battle, all civilians go behind the guards." Hearing Luo Ren's anxious shout, the others dared not slack off. The guards quickly set up machine guns, and the civilians hurriedly ran to hide behind the guards. The black mass was very close, less than 500 meters away. At this time, everyone saw clearly what it was. They were all rats as big as piglets. The scene was very horrifying. "Shoot." With Luo Ren's order, both machine guns and rifles opened fire, and bullets were poured out like water. No matter how tenacious the big rats were, they would die if they were hit by bullets. The dense firepower defense line successfully blocked the rats. Luo Ren breathed a sigh of relief, thinking, "Aren't you awesome? I think you chased me for several miles. Today I will wipe you out." Chirp, chirp. Just when he was feeling proud, he heard the cry of sparrows. He looked up and saw a black mass flying in the sky. He looked closely and saw that they were all sparrows as big as 1-month-old chickens. There must be hundreds of them. Damn it, this is a two-pronged attack from land and air. Luo Ren said in surprise. If we were just dealing with rats, 500 guardsmen would be enough, but with another wave of sparrows coming, the pressure would be a bit high. The speed of flying is faster than the speed of running. After just one encounter, hundreds of sparrows arrived above the team and then swooped down. Luo Ren was about to draw out his troops to deal with the sparrows. However, at this time, the panicked people were on hand. If anything is thrown out immediately, they threw the unfinished food in their hands at the sparrow, and the sparrow grabbed it directly and then flew to a nearby tree to peck at the food. Seeing this scene, Luo Ren had an idea and rushed to the vehicle carrying supplies and then directly opened the door of the carriage. When the sparrows smelled the fragrance of the food, they rushed into the carriage and pecked at the food in the carriage. None of the sparrows attacked humans. Luo Ren breathed a sigh of relief and chuckled. Although this thing has grown in size, it still maintains its habits. It's not like those rats. After they grow in size, they forget their roots. They don't dare to be a thief anymore and start hunting. Soon, the food in several supply trucks was swept away by sparrows. The sparrows flew out of the carriages and circled in the sky for a while and then landed on nearby trees, standing side by side one next to the other. At the same time, the battle between the guards and the rats came to an end. The tens of thousands of rats were still unable to break through the defense line of the guards. Only a few squeaks were heard from the rear of the rats, and then the rats began to retreat. Chapter 71 Level 3 Base. The rats retreated, and everyone breathed a sigh of relief. After resting for a while, Luo Ren ordered to set off again. The second half of the journey did not encounter any troubles, and they returned to the base smoothly. Like the people who saw the base for the first time, the more than 7,000 people in Gaohe were all shocked. After more than 7,000 people entered the base, the voice of the system rang in Luo Ren's ears. Ding. The population exceeded 50,000, and the base reached the upgrades. Please upgrade as soon as possible. Ding. New task released. The base is upgraded to level 3, and 1 billion points are awarded. Luo Ren quickly came to the mobile base. Looking at the mobile base, he said decisively in his heart, "Upgrade." Ding. The base is upgraded to level 3. Ding. Mission completed. Reward 10 points. Ding. The base is upgraded to level 3, unlocking the level 3 arsenal. Ding. The base is upgraded to level 3, unlocking the level 3 city wall. Ding. The base is upgraded to level 3, unlocking the tank factory. Ding. New mission released. Build a tank factory. Reward 1 billion points. Tank factory? At this time, Luo Ren was so happy that he wanted to sing and dance if he didn't care about his image. That's a tank factory, which can produce tanks. I wonder if it can produce tanks after it is built. Thinking of this, Luo Ren hurried to the military zone. At this time, the military zone only had an empty arsenal, which was still level 2. Seeing this, Luo Ren decisively said, the system will upgrade the arsenal to level 3. At the same time, he muttered with expectation, I wonder what new weapons will be unlocked. Ding. The arsenal is upgraded to level 3. After the upgrade was completed, Luo Ren immediately called up the interface to see which weapons were unlocked. The function panel of the arsenal was expanded. At first glance, I saw that the number of guards had increased to 3,000. Although this increase was tripled, Luo Ren felt that it was still a bit small. After all, the previous Paradise City had 5,000 troops, and Hu City had more than 10,000. In this comparison, the number gap is still a bit large. However, I thought about it again. It's not the quantity of soldiers that matters, but their quality. Although I have few soldiers, they have extremely high military quality, and they also have excellent weapons. Facing enemies that are several times larger than me, I can still win with fewer soldiers. In this way, Luo Ren was relieved. Then he looked at the newly unlocked weapons. Bazooka. 50,000 points heavy machine gun. 50,000 points. Oh my god, bazooka, heavy machine gun. Although there are not many weapons unlocked, only 2, but these 2 alone make Luo Ren very excited. Bazooka is a siege weapon, and heavy machine gun. This guy is a tough guy. Luo Ren estimates that even if he faces a level 1 power type evolved zombie, he will be shot into a sieve with a sweep. It is an absolute weapon for defending the city. The arsenal upgrade is complete, so the next step is the highlight, the tank factory. Excitement has completely filled Luo Ren's eyes. He took a deep breath, then switched out the construction light screen, dragged the tank factory to the map, and released his fingers. After finding a good position, Huolala, a mechanical sound rang out, and the ground next to the arsenal was covered with dust. A tank-like and rocket-like tank factory rose from the ground. After it was completed, Luo Ren heard the system's voice. Ding. The tank factory is built. Ding. Mission completed. 1 billion points rewarded. Luo Ren swallowed his saliva and looked at the tank factory. The function panel of the tank factory immediately appeared in front of him. He let out a long breath. This was more exciting than the lottery draw. His eyes slowly moved to the function panel, and immediately, the items that could be produced fell into his eyes. Tank. 500,000 points armored personnel carrier. 200,000 points diesel. 500 points gasoline. 100 points. Luo Ren opened his mouth, as if he was dumb, and was too excited to speak. He could only roar in his heart. Tank. It's a tank. My god, I'm not dreaming. I thought I could only unlock an armored vehicle at most. My god. There are also gasoline, diesel, etc. So there is no need to worry about the fuel problem. I can only describe my mood now in one word. That is, it's so cool. Then, Luo Ren thought again. Hushan, you are done. Just wait for my tank army. See if I can destroy you. After a long time, Luo Ren finally recovered. Fortunately, his physical fitness and mental will were there, so he didn't go crazy like Fan Jinsung, and then asked someone to slap him a few times to wake up. This would completely destroy the tall image of the commander in the past, which was not what Luo Ren wanted. Luo Ren was not in a hurry to produce tanks. Instead, he opened the function panel of the arsenal first, then filled up the guards, then returned to the mobile base, and ordered someone to call Luo Shan. Luo Shan came to the mobile base, saw Luo Ren and asked, Commander, you are looking for me? Luo Ren nodded and asked, I ask you, can you drive a tank? Luo Shan replied, yes. Luo Ren was surprised and asked again, do all the guards know how to drive a tank? If all the guards can drive a tank, Then just send hundreds of them directly. Anyway, there is no difference in points. When the time comes, they will march to Hachang in a mighty manner. The scene is estimated to scare Hu Shan to death. Unfortunately, Luo Shan shook his head and said, no, only the second level squad leader and above can operate a tank. This disappointed Luo Ren. He quickly called up the information panel of the guard army and saw 23 second level squad leaders, 12 third level squad leaders, 7 first level squad leaders, and 4 second level squad leaders. In total, there are only 46 second level squad leaders and above, and a tank requires 4 people to drive. So now we can only use 11 tanks at most. Oh my god, the gap between reality and imagination is really huge. Luo Ren slapped his thigh and asked, what about armored personnel carriers? Luo Shan replied, there are no restrictions on armored personnel carriers. Ordinary soldiers can drive them. Even if they are not guards, anyone who can drive them. Luo Ren was relieved immediately. If armored personnel carriers also have restrictions in this regard, it would be too ridiculous. Fortunately, Luo Shan gave a satisfactory answer. 11 tanks, that's 11. No, I'm afraid we can't get 11 tanks. We need to keep someone to command the army. I can't be responsible for everything by myself. Luo Shan, Luo Hei, Luo Ji and Luo Li, the 4 second level squadron leaders, must not be allowed to get on the tanks. Luo Wu, the first level squadron leader, should also be left behind. Then leave 3 third level team leaders in this way. There are only 38 people who can get on the tanks. 38 divided by 4 is 9.5. Oops, that's wrong. Then leave 2 third level team leaders to make up the number of people for 9 tanks. Luo Ren was very satisfied with his distribution. He found a piece of paper to write it down and then handed it to Luo Shan, saying, do as written above. After eliminating the people who stay, let the others wait for me in the military zone tomorrow. Yes. Luo Shan didn't ask the reason. He took the order and went to deal with it. Chapter 72, Motorized Guards. The next day. Luo Ren got up early, washed up, and came to the military area without eating breakfast. At this time, the 36 people in the military area were neatly arranged. These people's temperament was obviously higher than that of ordinary guards, and they all reached the level of second level squad leader or above. When the 36 people on the field saw Luo Ren coming, their eyes were full of respect and they shouted, Sir. Luo Ren nodded and said straight to the point, there is a big thing to call you here. I'm going to form 3 tank teams. Here, I will confirm with you, you can all operate tanks, right? Yes, sir. The 36 people answered in unison, yes. Luo Ren nodded with satisfaction and then said, a tank needs 4 people to exert its maximum combat effectiveness, so now you will divide into teams by yourselves. The 36 people heard this and said yes, and began to divide into groups. They were all comrades who had been together day and night, and had experienced life and death together. It didn't matter who they were in a group with, and there was no need to pick and choose like children. The division of teams was completed in just 3 or 2 minutes. Luo Ren was very satisfied with this speed, and without any nonsense, he walked quickly to the tank factory. The blue transparent light screen unfolded in front of him, and he said in his heart, produce 9 tanks. The system prompt sounded, produce 9 tanks for a total of 4.50 W points. Are you sure? Confirm. Ding. Tank production is in progress, and it takes a total of 9 days for 9 tanks. Fuck. Luo Ren was a little confused. In the past, the production of firearms and grenades was done in seconds, and even anti-material sniper rifles took less than a minute. Only the guards took time. However, after upgrading to a level 3 base, 10 guards can be produced in an hour, but it takes a day to produce a tank. This made Luo Ren, who was used to a fast pace, a little uncomfortable. Tip. Firearms are easy to make, so they take less time, while tanks are difficult to make, and naturally take more time. This is very scientific. After hearing what the system said, Luo Ren couldn't help but want to complain. You, the system, are still talking about science here, and I, the host, am embarrassed to say that science is good. Regardless of this, Luo Ren asked, how long does it take to produce an armored personnel carrier? It is estimated to take 12 hours to produce an armored personnel carrier. Although it is half the number of tanks, 12 hours is still a bit long. I used to watch military TV programs, and they said that armored personnel carriers usually carry 10 to 12 people. So for the 3,000 guards, not counting the 36 tank drivers, at least 247 vehicles are needed. 247 times 12, 101 equals 1, 102 equals 2, 103 equals 3. Oh my god, this will take 2,964 hours, which is 123.5 days. Luo Ren was really confused. He was thinking about producing the armored personnel carriers as soon as possible to greatly improve the mobility of the guards and then attack Hucheng. He didn't expect that it would take half a year just to produce the vehicles. This was a bit too much. He couldn't help but complain. System, I think these points are a bit redundant. I have too many points to use, but the production of something is limited by time and quantity. It feels like digestion is complete and the toilet is full, but the toilet is still full and the people inside are still unwilling to come out. Remind the host, you can use it if you want, but you can't describe this system as such a dirty place. Luo Ren was speechless and sighed helplessly. I will use it. He still asked unwillingly, is there really no way to increase the production speed? No. Okay. Since he answered like this, Luo Ren could only think of another way. He first pulled 250 armored personnel carriers for him, and then he looked at the fuel options such as gasoline and diesel, and his eyes turned, and he chose to produce a barrel of gasoline. Ding. Gasoline production is completed. Quantity *1 point. Just 3 seconds later, a barrel of gasoline was produced. Luo Ren carefully checked the barrel of gasoline. It was marked with 10L, which was enough to fill the tank of an ordinary car. Then he chose to produce a barrel of diesel. Ding. Diesel production completed. Quantity *1. It took 10 seconds to produce diesel. The volume of a barrel of diesel is obviously larger than gasoline. The barrel is marked with 100L. A barrel of diesel is a full 100 liters, which can fill a medium-sized truck. If it is a large truck, 2 barrels are usually enough. The fuel production was so fast that Luo Ren's eyes lit up. The armored personnel carrier had to wait, but the trucks outside could be used immediately. He walked back to the 36 people and said, the tank will take some time. You haven't had breakfast yet, so go and eat. Yes. As the 36 people left, Luo Ren also returned to the mobile base. Just as he sat down, he saw Suan Tong coming. Luo Ren stood up to greet him and said with a smile, "And Tong, why are you here?" Suan Tong was very impolite and found a chair to sit down. She looked at Luo Ren and said, "Brother Ren, I want to talk to you." Luo Ren nodded and said, "Go ahead." Suan Tong said straight to the point, "It's still the previous proposal to expand the guard army." As soon as these words came out, Suan Tong immediately saw the change in Luo Ren's face and immediately explained, "I made a lot of changes to the previous proposal. Whether you agree or not, I hope you can listen to it." Luo Ren was curious about what changes could be made, so he agreed. "Then tell me." Suan Tong said, "I know that the first thing you worry about is loyalty when recruiting guards from the residents. In fact, I don't think you need to worry at all. The respect that the residents of the base have for you is obvious to all. It is from the heart and rooted in the deepest part of the soul. You can imagine how low the probability of betrayal will be after such devout believers become guards. Of course, this is persuasion, not a revised proposal. Then I will tell you the revised proposal now. Expanding the guards is inevitable. Otherwise, the more people there are in the base, the less strong the troops will be to protect it. Considering the possible betrayal factors, I have thought of the following countermeasures. 1. The highest officer in each team of residents can be arranged as a guard soldier. 2. Set up another soldier camp. The resident army does not train with the guard army, and the training instructors for the resident army are provided by the guard army. 3. Carry out ideological education every month to ensure the loyalty of the resident army to the base. 4. The weapons and equipment are completely controlled by the guard army. They usually provide suitable training ammunition and only provide sufficient ammunition when they go out to perform tasks. These are the 4 countermeasures I thought of. What do you think? Su and Tong's countermeasures are good and practical, but now that the base has been upgraded to level 3, and the number of guards has also increased significantly, so Luo Ren does not need more troops now. If a large number of residents are recruited as soldiers, the productivity of the base will inevitably decrease. Therefore, this matter should be discussed after the base develops to a larger scale. Chapter 73, Motorized Guards, Part 2. Luo Ren raised his head, smiled at Su and Tong, and said, "Your countermeasures are good and practical, which is worthy of recognition. However, the base is now limited in scale, and the number of soldiers is not important, but the quality is. The current guard army can fully maintain the peace and stability of the base, and it is not a big problem to strike forces like Hucheng. Therefore, it is better to wait until the base expands to a larger scale before implementing conscription." Su and Tong was disappointed and said dejectedly, "Okay." Seeing her like this, Luo Ren couldn't bear it. After thinking for a while, he continued, "I'm also considering the production of the base. Let's do this. I approve the establishment of a militia team of 50 people, and you will be in charge of it as a demonstration." Su and Tong's face suddenly cleared up. Although it was just a militia, it was a major step, proving that Luo Ren's idea of only having a guard army in his heart was not unshakable. Luo Ren said, "By the way, let me be frank. The militia is not a full-time soldier. They still have to engage in production labor. And if one of them relies on the weapons in his hands to oppress ordinary people, I will immediately disband the militia organization. Do you understand?" Su and Tong nodded heavily, patted his chest, and said confidently, "Don't worry, under my management, no one will oppress ordinary residents." Luo Ren said, "Then I will wait and see." Su and Tong smiled and said, "Just wait and see. I will never let you down." After talking about this matter, the two talked for a while, and Su and Tong couldn't wait to recruit militia, and Luo Ren didn't stop her and let her go. After Su and Tong left, Luo Ren was the only one left in the mobile base, which seemed very deserted. He sat for a while and looked at the information on the table. He was really bored. He rolled his eyes and thought, "Let's go to the parking lot." Thinking about it, he got up and left the mobile base and headed towards the base parking lot. Since the space in the inner city is not large, Luo Ren asked Komu to plan a new parking lot in the outer city. As for the parking lot in the inner city, it is temporarily vacant. When there are important buildings in the future, this piece of land can be used. After walking for about 10 minutes, the parking lot was finally reached. The new parking lot is very large. Although it is only an open-air parking lot, it can park more than 100 vehicles. However, there are only more than 20 vehicles in the parking lot at this time, most of which are medium-sized trucks. The purpose is to haul supplies when going out for battle, and the rest are all off-road vehicles. The reason why there are only so few vehicles is that there was a shortage of fuel before. If there are too many vehicles, they can't drive without oil. Besides, the guard army only had 1,000 people at that time, and more than a dozen medium-sized trucks were completely enough. But now it is different from the past. The tank factory can produce gasoline, diesel and other fuels. Now there is no need to worry about fuel shortages. Luo Ren looked around the parking lot and thought, such a large parking lot, with only 20 or so cars, it's too empty. This won't do. Then he had an idea. "I remember there's a large parking lot near Jibai Industrial Park. I can go there and get dozens of cars back." With an idea in mind, Luo Ren immediately went to the barracks and summoned the guards. In addition to the soldiers who were out performing daily search and rescue missions and city defense missions, there were about 2,000 guards on the square at this time. With so many people, the barracks square seemed a bit small, and people were squeezed together to barely squeeze in more than 2,000 people. Seeing this, Luo Ren thought, it seems that the barracks need to be expanded. But there was no rush, and the priority was to get down to business. It obviously wouldn't take more than 2,000 people to get some vehicles. So Luo Ren said, "Luo Shan, pick out 500 people and follow me to the Jibai parking lot to get dozens of vehicles back." "Yes." Luo Shan stepped forward and answered. Then he turned around, glanced at the other guards, pointed to the first squadron and said, "The first squadron stays, the others disband." The other guards dispersed to continue training, leaving only the first squadron with 500 people. Luo Ren did not set off immediately, but brought more than 500 people to the military zone, and then produced 20 barrels of diesel and 30 barrels of gasoline. After such a long time of parking, the oil in the tank of any car would evaporate. If you don't bring fuel, you can only push it back. The gasoline and diesel were loaded onto a medium-sized truck, and Luo Ren gave an order, "Let's go." The 500 guards, led by Luo Ren, headed towards the Jiboe parking lot. During the period, they encountered several waves of small zombies, which were easily solved by the powerful firepower of the guards, so the guards had a smooth journey, and arrived at the Jiboe parking lot in about an hour. The Jiboe parking lot is very large, divided into 2 floors, underground and above ground. The above ground is mainly used for vehicles such as trucks, while the underground is used for vehicles such as cars. Luo Ren's main purpose of this trip is the trucks on the ground, because cars are not very useful in this doomsday. Even if they are used as a means of transportation, Luo Ren prefers to use off-road vehicles at the entrance of the parking lot. The access control pole had been broken long ago. Luo Ren led 500 people into the parking lot without any obstruction. Looking around, it was indeed full of trucks. Luo Ren ordered, "Just medium-sized trucks, go." Medium-sized trucks have a stronger cargo capacity than light trucks, and are more flexible than heavy trucks, so they have become Luo Ren's best choice point. While the guards were searching for a suitable target in the parking lot above ground, Luo Ren came to the parking lot below ground. As the power system had long been paralyzed, the parking lot below ground was dark except for some light coming in from the entrance. However, Luo Ren did not need to worry, because he brought a mobile light source, a flashlight point. He swept the flashlight over the cars one by one and shook his head repeatedly. He did not like any of them. He came here to find a car for himself, so of course he had to pick a good one. Squeak. Suddenly, a mouse-like sound came into his ears, and then he heard footsteps. When he shone the flashlight, he saw a skinny zombie rushing towards him. This was just an ordinary zombie. There was no pressure for Luo Ren. He raised his leg and kicked it away. Then he pulled out the saber tied to his thigh, rushed up in one step, and cut off the zombie's head with a knife point. Shashisha. But things were not so easy to end. Footsteps sounded from all directions, accompanied by the sound of squeak. Luo Ren held the saber tightly in one hand, glanced at the light at the entrance, and rushed to the entrance without hesitation. He wanted to lead all the zombies to the light, and then kill them one by one. After all, unlike zombies who rely on hearing and smell, Luo Ren has not practiced the magical martial arts of listening to the sound to determine the position. He mainly relied on his 2 eyes. As he expected, the zombies followed him one after another. With the light, Luo Ren could see clearly that there were less than 20 zombies, so there was no pressure at all. Puff. Puff puff. Just like chopping watermelons with a knife, the heads of the dozen zombies were split by Luo Ren in less than half a minute. But what burst out was not bright red, but a black and red sticky liquid with a fishy smell, which was very disgusting. He wiped the saber in his hand casually, hoping that there would be no other zombies. He still wanted to choose a car carefully, but at this moment, Luo Ren felt a strong breath coming from behind him. He looked back suddenly, and saw 2 red dots flashing in the dark. Chapter 74, Motorized Guards, Part 3. The next moment, the red dot moved and magnified rapidly in Luo Ren's eyes. As it entered the light range, its true appearance was finally revealed. It was lying on all fours, with a thin body and a faint red light in its eyes. It was a zombie red quasi level 2 evolved zombies. Luo Ren was shocked. This zombie was exactly the same as the one he met in Gauss Hay. It seemed that it was also a quasi level 2 evolved zombie, so he immediately set up the saber he was about to put away, and assumed a fighting posture. The next moment, the zombie was in front of him, claws as sharp as daggers grabbing at him from top to bottom. Luo Ren reacted quickly, raised his saber to the sidebar. Clang. It was like gold and iron colliding, and sparks suddenly shot out. Blocking the blow, Luo Ren quickly retreated to distance himself from the evolved zombie. But the zombie rushed over without mercy, waving its sharp claws, trying to slash Luo Ren's belly and throat. Clang. Luo Ren reacted quickly, and parried with the saber in his hand, blocking all the zombies' attacks. At the same time, He not only passively defended, but also actively attacked. The saber blocked the next blow. At the same time, the zombies showed a flaw. Although there was only one, it's less than a second, but it's enough. Luo Ren clenched his fist with his left hand and hit the zombies directly chest. Bump. The fist hit hard and the fists and flesh connected. This evolved zombie is more powerful than ordinary zombies. Even the flesh and blood are as elastic as living humans. Huge power poured out from his fist. Although this thin quasi level 2 evolved zombie was fast, its strength and defense were not strong. It was immediately knocked away by Luo Ren and entered a white car. Roar. The quasi level 2 zombie quickly climbed onto the roof of the car and roared angrily at Luo Ren. At the same time, it humanely reached out and touched the place where it was hit, which was dented like the car it hit. Touching this point, the zombie's glowing red eyes looked at Luo Ren, showing not only anger but also fear. Although he knew that the quasi level 2 zombies were conscious, his heart tightened when he saw Luo Ren again, and he couldn't help but imagine what the current level 2 zombies would be like. Seeing that he was no match for this human being, the quasi level 2 zombie turned around and headed out of the parking lot. Luo Ren quickly caught up. According to the system, a quasi level 2 zombie can evolve into a level 2 zombie in less than a week. The GB parking lot is not far from the base. If there is an extra level 2 evolved zombie in this place, going out for search and rescue in the future will be a big trouble, so it is necessary to nip it in the cradle. Two figures rushed out of the underground parking lot one after another. The guard soldiers on the ground saw it clearly and then heard Luo Ren's urgent voice, "Stop it." The 500 guards quickly put down what they were doing, pointed their guns at the quasi level 2 evolved zombie, and shot without hesitation. The overwhelming bullets came, and even though the quasi level 2 evolved zombie was very fast, it was difficult to avoid. The next moment, its legs and abdomen were injured, and then it quickly hid behind the car and let out a shrill roar. The escort and Luo Ren surrounded the car. Luo Ren went around the car and saw that the quasi level 2 evolved zombie had been shot several times, especially its right leg and calf. It saw Luo Ren. It came over and did not run away, but continued to make a shrill roar. Pulling out his pistol, Luo Ren planned to kill the zombie with his gun. Aimed, bang. The bullet was fired, and the roar stopped abruptly. It was not that the quasi level 2 evolved zombie was killed, but the bullet was dodged by it, and it got up and ran. There were blood marks on its right leg without the sole of its foot. If it were a human running like this, I'm afraid it hurts to death. However, being so seriously injured still greatly affected its speed. It was quickly caught up by Luo Ren, and with a flash of sharpness, its movements froze instantly, and then its head separated from its body. He stepped forward and split the head open, and an evolution crystal fell out. Luo Ren picked it up and looked carefully. The evolution crystal was not pure milky white, but had a light green color. Luo Ren immediately thought, did Hetian jade turn into jade? Regardless of this, after putting this emerald-colored evolutionary crystal in his pocket, Luo Ren smiled softly and thought to himself, I wonder if this evolutionary crystal can strengthen my body again. Bite. The quasi level 2 evolution crystal can naturally strengthen the host's physical fitness again, but the host is reminded that this must be done alive first. When Luo Ren heard this, he was excited at first, and then very confused, muttering, what does it mean to go back alive? Sudden, the sound of dense footsteps came, followed by countless zombies rushing from all directions. Holy shit. Luo Ren was suddenly startled and shouted quickly, everyone return to the parking lot and prepare to fight. Back in the parking lot, Luo Ren thought to himself, why are there suddenly so many zombies? Could it be that they were attracted by the gunshots just now? While he was thinking, the battle started, and a large number of zombies attacked the parking lot crazily. Fortunately, the parking lot was protected by iron nets on all sides. Only the entrance was accessible. As long as you guard this place, you will be safe. This was also the reason why Luo Ren immediately ordered to return to the parking lot. Gunshots continued one after another, and zombies fell one after another, but zombies still kept coming. Half an hour passed in the blink of an eye, and the corpses of the killed zombies had been piled into a wall of flesh, but there were still a large number of zombies coming from all directions. This shouldn't be the case. The sound of gunfire can only be transmitted as far as a mile. There shouldn't be so many zombies within this mile. Luo Ren frowned and thought hard. What else can attract zombies? Suddenly, his brows relaxed. Is it the roar of the quasi level 2 evolved zombie? In addition to the sound of gunfire, it is the roar of the quasi level 2 evolved zombie. It can actually summon a group of zombies? Thinking of this, Luo Ren was even more surprised. The quasi level 2 zombies are powerful. Ordinary humans can't beat them in a single fight, but humans can shake people and choose to fight in groups. It's hard to say who will win or lose. But the quasi level 2 zombies also know how to shake zombies, so the advantage of humans fighting in groups will be gone. Oh my god, what the hell is this? Humans are too miserable. Not only can they not evolve naturally, but now they even have no advantage in cooperation. Luo Ren looked up to the sky and asked, but it was obvious that no one answered him. As time passed, there were no more zombies coming. This time, the guards won with the advantage of weapons, but I don't know if this advantage will disappear in the future. The zombie corpses all over the ground were a headache. If he wanted to drive the car out, he had to clean up the corpses. Luo Ren had no choice but to give the order to clean up the corpses. Chapter 75, Motorized Guards, 4th. In about an hour, the zombie bodies were finally moved away, a road was cleared, and dozens of trucks returned to the base in a mighty manner. The speed is different with a car, but we arrived at the base in about 20 minutes. Luo Ren looked at it again at this time. Although the parking lot was not full, most of the parking spaces were occupied by vehicles. This made him very happy. He would no longer need to walk on two legs when going out of the city. Cool. Facing the sun, Luo Ren opened his arms, stretched comfortably, and then returned to the mobile base. As we walked into the inner city, we suddenly saw residents walking in a hurry, as if they were going to see something interesting. Upon closer inspection, we found that most of these residents were young people in their teens or 20s, and some were even in their 80s, 19s, and 10th years old. Child point. When these people saw Luo Ren, they immediately greeted him with reverence, and then headed towards the southwest corner of the inner city. This made Luo Ren feel strange. He stopped one person and asked, "What are you going to do?" It was a great honor to be asked by the chief. People passing by looked at the man with envious expressions. The man who was stopped was also very excited. He straightened his back hard and replied with a trembling voice, "Sir, the commander of the escort named Suantang said that he has asked your opinion to recruit militiamen. I also want to join." Tong's work is carried out very quickly. Luo Ren was surprised and affirmed Suantang's work efficiency. At the same time, he glanced at the hurried people, and then returned his eyes to the person in front of him, thinking in his heart, the attraction of becoming a militia is so great. If the guards are recruited, wouldn't it be a mobilization of the whole people? Let's ask him why he wants to become a militia. When the man saw that the chief had not spoken for a while, he couldn't help but think wildly, why didn't the chief speak? He didn't look very good. Didn't the chief agree to recruit militiamen? No, if the chief doesn't agree with this kind of thing, how can that beautiful chief Suantang dare to do it so blatantly? Luo Ren saw his brows furrowed, sometimes confused, sometimes showing bitterness, and immediately smiled and said, "What's your name?" Hearing the voice, and looking at Luo Ren's smile, the man breathed a sigh of relief and hurriedly replied, "My name is Huang Sikan." This name seems familiar. Luo Ren had an idea, but he didn't think much about it, and then asked, "Huang Sikan is a good name, so let me ask you, why do you want to become a militia?" Huang Sikan clenched his hands into fists, looked excited, and said with sincere eyes, "Of course it is to protect the base." Luo Ren looked at Huang Sikan carefully. They said that the eyes are the windows of the soul, which can best express a person's emotions and thoughts. Through these two windows, Luo Ren could see that he was not lying. This was surprising to Luo Ren. Unexpected point. If this is the only thought, it would be a good idea to become a bodyguard. However, we can't know until we actually become one. After all, people's thoughts will change depending on their position. Moreover, everyone has their own ideas, and Huang Sikan can only represent himself. There are so many people who Luo Ren doesn't know why they want to join the militia. Luo Ren patted Huang Siken's shoulder and said, "Go." Huang Siken was even more excited. The chief actually patted his shoulder, which aroused the envy of passers-by. He nodded heavily, yes, and then headed towards the southwest corner. Luo Ren looked towards the southwest corner. After stopping for a while, he finally took steps towards that direction. The inner city is not big, and soon they arrived at the southwest corner. Luo Ren was a little surprised by the scene in front of him. He saw a crowd of people crowded together to form a circle, and people continued to join in, making the circle bigger. It is estimated that there must be several hundred people. Luo Ren secretly said point at the same time. Someone discovered Luo Ren and shouted, "Sir." Everyone looked over one after another, and then respectfully called, "Sir." Then, the crowd dispersed, revealing the people surrounded by Suan Tong and a few familiar faces. After Luo Ren thought about it for a moment, he remembered that they were female soldiers from New Valley. When Suan Tong and the female soldiers saw Luo Ren coming, they hurried up to greet them. This was outside, in front of many residents. Suan Tong would never be as rude as when she moved the base. She came up to greet him and said, "Sir, sir." The female soldier behind her said, "Sir." Luo Ren waved his hand and said, "You don't need to worry about me, just continue to do your thing." "Yes, Su." Antong responded and returned to her original position. When she saw that there were already a lot of people coming, she immediately said, "Don't be surrounded like this. Everyone should line up. If you line up neatly, you will get extra points." After hearing this, everyone immediately moved and started to line up. However, these people were not professional soldiers and suddenly panicked. Some people were accidentally knocked upside down by the oncoming people, which angered the crowd. A burst of laughter. Luo Ren's eyes fell on the city wall, and then he jumped up. The 4-meter high city wall was completely insignificant in his eyes. After climbing the city wall, Luo Ren saw the chaotic crowd below with great interest, while waiting to see how Suan Tong would solve the current problem. Suan Tong frowned and immediately shouted, "Stop." After the words fell, people stopped instantly and looked at Suan Tong. She said again, "Everyone find the person closest to you to line up. I don't need you to be fast. As long as you don't fight, or squeeze or shout. If the position you like is occupied, then line up to the back. If the current row is full, open another row. Do you understand?" "Understood." People answered in unison. Suan Tong continued, "Okay, 20 people in a row, 30 people in a row, follow this standard, let's start." The crowd moved again. This time they slowed down a lot, but they were not panicked. There were no more people stepping on people, or bumping into people. Everyone was in order and strictly followed Suan Tong's instructions. If the position you like is occupied, then line up to the back. If the current row is full, open another row. In this way, about 20 minutes later, the hundreds of people on the field were finally arranged. The neatness was naturally not as good as that of a professional team, but the seats were barely qualified for ordinary residents to achieve this effect. Luo Ren nodded slightly and gave Suan Tong a look of approval. Then he looked at the crowd again and found that most of the hundreds of people seemed to be teenagers under the age of 15. According to the base's regulations, those who are over 12 years old and under 15 years old have their labor intensity and time halved, but their food is not reduced. Those under 12 years old do not have to work, and the base will provide 2 meals a day for free points, so those under 12 years old basically have nothing to do all day and do not need to study or work, except playing points. Seeing this, Luo Ren suddenly had an idea in his mind. We can't let them do nothing all day. We must find something for them to do, otherwise they will become lazy. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.